Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's out in Plano, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. If you like daily 1-hour plant shopping videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel with the notification bell on so you're always up to date whenever I do my live premieres. You can see that it is a beautiful morning out in Plano, Texas. And for my plant foldies, those that are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome. You can see that I haven't been to this actual Lowe's for quite some time, so I made the trek to go further down south in North Dallas. So I am actually based out in North Dallas, but today I figured I'd go down Preston Road and see what this Lowe's, which is really located near George Bush Highway, just to see what they have. And as you can see right here, most Lowe's and even Home Depot, all of these big box stores will have displays of crotons, specifically croton petras. Fall is for planting, so as far as fall, things that you can plant in the fall are definitely trees. So I love Japanese maples, for instance, so I will be visiting Metro Maples at some point. That is a Japanese nursery, Japanese maple nursery out in Fort Worth, Texas, so I can actually plant some more Japanese maples in the ground. It is still not as cold as you would think for fall season out in North Dallas. It's still quite hot. We're still in the high 90s, so hopefully things will cool down. But you can see right here, I went ahead and went straight to the indoor tropical section for this Lowe's. What I do like about this Lowe's is it has its indoor tropical section separated from the main store, so it's almost like a greenhouse. And today I'm actually going to be looking at some plants, Costa Farms plants, urban jungle plants in more detail. You'll have to wait at the end of the video to really see what plant I was I would say basically baited to purchase, because it was just so pretty, and it was one of those unexpected finds. But definitely stay tuned for that at the very end of the video. But for now, plant foldies, we're just going to be looking at all of the big box store plants that you would typically find. As you can see right over here, Urban Jungle has philodendron moonlight. And what I like about this philodendron, I say this in all my videos, is the neon colored yellow leaves. Now this one is for $13.98. I do like that it is a more simplified planter. I've said this in all of my videos, but I really do prefer more matte finishes, more simple planters that don't have a lot of textures. Like this one has some texture. This one is a Ficus Audrey for $13.98. Now Urban Jungle, as far as a plant supplier for a lot of big box stores, they have some very cost-effective pricing. And so whenever I'm looking for plants in these 4.5, 5-inch containers, I would actually default to buying plants from Urban Jungle. If you're able to find Urban Jungle hanging baskets at like a grocery store, for instance, like Kroger, they typically sell them for $12.99. And that's the thing about this plant channel. I really like to highlight where you can buy plants at the most cost-effective pricing. We all can admit that we all have plant addictions. Like I am literally spending so much money on plants, and my concern is I'm probably going to end up getting super overwhelmed and burnt out by all of the plant shopping. But for now, all I have to say is that all of these plants bring me joy, and I'm still on that very much that adrenaline of coming back from PlantCon 2024 in Dallas. Beautiful plants that I found there, and this is actually a very beautiful plant. This is an Alocasia bisma. So like the Alocasia bisma is one that I found for $35 being sold, but you can actually get an Urban Jungle Alocasia like this for $13.95. Now this one though has a little bit of cosmetic damage. One thing I will say about the Alocasias I've gotten, I have started to transfer them in semi-hydroponic growing conditions. So I'm growing them in pond. Most of my Alocasia are doing well. The only one that has not really done well from the transfer would be an Alocasia Jacqueline, and then my Alocasia Cuprea. They just tend to be weaker Alocasia, so we'll see if they will actually survive the transfer into pond. You can see over here Syngonium. This is some type of pink Syngonium. If you notice that some of these Syngoniums, the leaves haven't necessarily unfurled, that is a result of possibly not having enough humidity for the plant. So I just wanted to make sure that it's people are aware that if you increase the humidity around your plants, especially when they are having a little bit more of a difficult time unfurling their leaves, that typically helps solve the problem. I've seen people where they'll take like toilet paper or tissue paper and damp it it and then wrap it around the leaf, and that tends to help the leaf actually unfurl. But you know, as far as the plants that they have the selection of plants that they have at this particular Lowe's, they have quite a bit of plants, which makes me happy because I've said this in all of my videos, but not every single big box store is created equal. Some have better in stocks than others. Some have more healthy looking plants. Some have even better like merchandising. So it just really depends. I have been fortunate that being out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, specifically North Dallas, most of my big box stores really have some nice looking plants. Like this syngonium right here in a ceramic hanging basket. I find it super cute, and you know, with the pink on the syngonium, I would say if you want to push out even more pink or coloration, definitely provide it with more bright indirect light. You know, light in general really dictates the plant's overall health. The more bright indirect light you can possibly give a plant, the better growth it's going to have. It's going to be faster at growing. It's going to have better coloration. It's just going to be overall better for the plant. Speaking of, you know, light and how it influences it, Epipremnum aureum neon. So this is a beautiful plant, and it's also in a terracotta planter with a macrame hanger. Beautiful setup right over here. That plant, this neon pothos, needs to have quite a bit of bright indirect light for it to really hold on to that neon green, that yellow color. I love those neon plants. And, you know, Urban Jungle, they have a lot of these little hanging ceramic baskets. Now, this one is some type of tropical cactus for $16.98. This is a Costa Farms Exotic Angels hanging basket in the 6-inch version. I do prefer the 6-inch hanging baskets versus the 8.5-inch. They're just a little bit more manageable. And then over here we have another Urban Jungle golden pothos, or Epipremnum aureum golden. Beautiful pothos plant. It's probably the one plant that has really brought people to growing houseplants. I could say that these are probably going to be one of the first houseplants you introduce yourself into growing plants. It is one that I would recommend. You already know, especially if you follow my channel on a daily basis, I talk about pothos. I think it's because pothos are really dubbed as a basic plant, but basic doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Basic means that you're going to actually bring more joy to yourself because you're not stressed with the plant care. Dracaena Dorado, this is for $12.98, again by Costa Farms. Here's the thing about Dracaenas. I always say this in my videos too, but Dracaenas are highly underrated, and I think it's because the perception of a Dracaena plant is more of like a corporate office, more of like a doctor's office type setting versus somebody who is collecting plants. However, Dracaena are so easy to take care of. They get pretty large size leaves. They are low light tolerant, number one, which is great, especially for all of our indoor spaces where I don't think everybody has the most ideal lighting conditions unless you are providing your plants with grow lights. And then number two, they are drought tolerant. So even if you don't water them nearly as consistent, I'm pretty guilty about not watering my plants consistently. They are a little bit more forgiving of a plant. It is another plant that I don't see a lot of chatter or people really talking about on, you know, social media, specifically like YouTube or Instagram, but I love Dracaenas as well as Dieffenbachia. So Dieffenbachia, it's a beautiful plant. It is a plant that is challenging. I would say it's a harder plant to grow indoors because of a couple of factors. Number one, they prefer a little bit more humidity. The reason why they prefer a little bit more humidity is because their natural climates kind of call for that, and they are a little bit more spider mite prone. So if you're not able to provide that humidity level for the Dieffenbachias, they may be more prone to get spider mites. You really have to pay attention to them, inspect the leaves. I would suggest spraying them on a weekly basis, maybe with some neem oil spray, or maybe even taking them under a shower or a garden hose and just hosing down the leaves to make sure you're washing away any potential pests. And then the second factor for a Dieffenbachia making it a little bit more challenging is the lighting conditions. They need a lot of bright indirect light. If you're going to grow Dracaena indoors, I would suggest putting them on a south-facing window or a west-facing window where you get a lot of that intense light. There's Dieffenbachia though, when I've seen them in the Philippines. I actually took a vacation to the Philippines back in August. My family is originally from the Philippines, but I saw massive sizes of Dieffenbachia. I told myself I wouldn't buy a Dieffenbachia because of the care requirements, but after seeing them in their full glory, their full potential of what they can grow into, I am open to growing Dieffenbachia. Now over here is a Syngonium Maria, and this one has that chocolate brown tone about a Syngonium Maria. Syngoniums in general are easy to care for plants. The only two factors I would say that really decline the Syngonium's health is by underwatering. So if you do not stay on top of the watering for a Syngonium, it could potentially lose a lot of leaves, and then it becomes even more prone to pests. Some pests that are prone to attack Syngoniums would be spider mites and mealybugs. So just keep an eye out on that. That is a Costa Farms Exotic Angel, as well as the purple waffle plant. So what I like about the purple waffle plant is obviously the dark foliage. The dark foliage is a must for anybody who likes that elegant dark foliage. I also like the purple undersides. Now with the purple waffle plant, it's another plant that can be challenging for those that do not water their plants consistently. It is a very thirsty plant, so you never really want to let the soil dry out completely. I would say when the soil is about 30% dry to the surface, I would go ahead and just water it. And I would also water it from the top, as in like maybe taking a watering can and getting all of the leaves wet. It does like humidity. And if you notice, look at those aerial roots right here. You can propagate waffle plant. That is a plant that is easy to propagate in water. And another plant that I love, and I mentioned keyword love, are crotons. Now, crotons in general, I think in the plant community are either you love them or you hate them. People are really into them, people are not into them. And I think it's because, number one, crotons are challenging to grow indoors. And then number two, maybe the colors of a croton might be a little bit too much for some people. I think it's interesting though, when I think about my aesthetics and what I like about plants, I do like the more minimalistic planters, but when it comes down to the colors and textures of the leaves, I tend to look for more of the flashy, flamboyant plants like this right here. This croton has some really cool texture on the leaf. I love how it is dark. It's almost black with the red fiery veins. There are so many different varieties of crotons. The best way to grow a croton is you really want to just grow them outside, acclimate them to where they're in shade at first, but you can actually put them in full sun. Crotons like a lot of light, and if you can provide them humidity, even better. And they are a little bit of a thirsty plant, so you want to make sure that you are watering your crotons a little bit more consistently. That is another Costa Farms Exotic Angel plant. All of these plants I'm picking up right now, this one's for $7.98. Dragon's Tongue plant are by Costa Farms. And when you think of the three types of plant providers in terms of just indoor tropical plants, at Lowe specifically, these big box stores like Lowe's, Costa Farms definitely sends a lot of plants to Lowe's. We also see a lot of Live Trends, and we also see a lot of Urban Jungle. Those are the main three, at least at Lowe's. Now, if you ever go shopping at Home Depot tends to have less Costa Farms. I don't really see a lot of Urban Jungle, or if any, but they do send a lot of Proven Winner plants. So again, it's really interesting to see what types of plants are sourced out to these big box stores. I am really into Hydra Helix, or what you call the Hedera Helix curly locks. So I haven't said Hydra Helix in a while, but for those that are new, I mispronounce Hedera Helix as Hydra Helix because for the longest time, I just thought that that's how you pronounce it until I was corrected by a plant foldie. However, it has kind of stuck around this plant community of mine, and so I've kept it there. You guys are silly for counting how many times I say Hydra Helix on the YouTube channel, but I will do that just because you plant foldies like it. Now over here is another croton. This one is a gold dust croton, and What I like about it is if you look specifically at the leaves have that cosmic power, that universe type deal, really some of that sparkling stuff going on with the leaves. I do like the leaves are also more narrow. So I picked up the Dracaena Florida Beauty. It also has some of that speckling. I like plants with speckling leaves as well, or speckles on the leaves. Really cool looking plant. Again, it is another croton, so it is a little bit more of a challenging plant to grow indoors. If you're going to grow croton indoors, stay on top of the watering and make sure you're giving it a lot of light. Over here is a Rex begonia. This one is for $5.98. Another Costa Farms exotic angel. And I love the faint lavender pink tone it has, the gray tone, and then the metallic silver lining it has. It was a begonia I've grown in the past. However, Rex begonias are challenging because if you actually get the leaves and the stems wet, it can actually rot it. And so whenever you're going to grow begonias, especially Rex begonias, you want to water them from the bottom, as in you'll take a saucer, fill it up with water, and then stick the actual planter into the water to let it just soak it up from the bottom. And that's a good way to grow it. Now you can see here, look at how healthy those leaves are on this Dracaena Florida Beauty. You know, the Dracaena Florida Beauty is not like a typical Dracaena like you see. It is more of a thirsty plant. It is another plant that does need a little bit more light, but you can see, look at that speckling. I love that croton gold dust next to the Dracaena Florida Beauty. I might do a shorts video where I highlight speckling or cosmic looking plants. I think that's super cool. And then we have another exotic angel right here. This is another Pilea of some sort. I do like the texture of the leaves. This one is definitely ideal for terrariums. A lot of the Pilea plants in general are needing a little bit more humidity, although I have a Pilea Pan Am. It's a darker foliage Pilea, and I have been able to get away with just ambient humidity, and I haven't even, like, I've let it dry out completely and it hasn't died. So it has some tolerance for it. And let's take a look at this coffee plant by Costa Farms again. This one is also for $5.98. Really like the look of this coffee plant. It's got some beautiful green foliage, and when it comes down to it, the green foliage is stunning. It is one of those plants that you know, most people may overlook. That is a plant I'd love to add to my collection. But, you know, with all of the plant shopping videos I've done, I have added so many plants, you know, just a little bit of update of what's been going on with my personal plant collection. I have gotten my plant room together. So plant foldies, I know I keep talking about it, but I will work on getting my houseplant tour. It is going to be a detailed 1-hour tour of all my plants and just my plant styling. It is coming. Please make sure you do leave that in the comment section. And honestly, if you have made it this far into the video and you haven't hit the like button, please do. It definitely helps push this content out to more plant lovers like yourself. I'm getting close to 11,000 subscribers, and you know, when I did start doing plant shopping videos about 11 months ago, I didn't realize how quickly our community could grow. So again, plant foldies, for those that continue to watch my videos on a nightly basis, for those that watch my videos in its entirety, for those that even just click on my video to show interest, thank you so much for always tuning in. You already know I'm working very hard. I spent my day off yesterday filming 3 or 4 more plant videos, so that way I could have new content every single day this week. I'm really trying. But as you can see here, plant foldies, I did pick up a lot of those exotic angel plants. Now we're going to be taking a look at some of these urban jungle plants right here. This one is some sort of calathea. This is for $22.48. It is in a ceramic planter, although I am not a fan of the ceramic planter with just all the textures. I really wish it was just more of like a simple shape, or just like a terracotta planter. That's really more up my alley when it comes to the planters. Like right over here, we have a bird's nest fern. This one has a little bit of cosmetic damage. This one is for $13.98. I would say they should probably clearance that out. Maybe it will actually sell. And then over here is a Ficus lyrata. So I don't know if this is the Bambino, because it's got a little bit more of a narrow growth pattern to it. Now with Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf trees, these require quite a bit of light. It also likes to have a little bit more humidity. It does also need more consistency in terms of where you place it in your home. You definitely give it bright indirect light. And then over here is a Dracaena warneckii, or what you call the dragon tree. That's another name for Dracaena. Really like the look of this. You can see all of this, the stripes on the leaves. Beautiful plant. This one grows a little bit more compact. It is a little bit more of a slower grower, but it's a low light tolerant. And this is an Aglaonema White Rain, or I think Aglaonema Golden Bay. This one actually has some blooms, and you know, with Aglaonema, we grow it for the foliage. So anytime your plant pushes out blooms, you want to cut the blooms off, just because the blooms require or take up a lot of the plant's energy. So the plant actually focuses on the blooms versus pushing out new growth. That's one way to keep your plant stunted. So you want to make sure you get rid of that. That one is for $22.98. That is another urban jungle plant here. And then over here we have some more hanging baskets of plants, and I'm just going to pan around here again. You can see right over here, plant foldies, we've got a beautiful red marantha, or a prayer plant. This one is in a ceramic hanging basket, again by Urban Jungle. And you know, with this plant, it is similar to a calathea, but this one is a little bit more forgiving. That is another plant though that you don't want to let the soil dry out completely. And then over here, plant foldies, we've got an Epipremnum aureum, pearls and jade pothos. And the difference between a pearls and jade pothos versus an enjoy pothos is you can see that the green is a little bit more of a pastel grayish tone, and you can see that this pothos has more speckling on the leaves versus an enjoy. They are typically confused and mislabeled often at like big box stores or even local plant nurseries. So that's just how you can tell. This one is by Live Trends. And I do like that it has that yellow color, and even the texture of Live Trends. I don't mind it because it's still a very minimalistic look. And then you can see right here another Epipremnum aureum Marble Queen pothos. Now this one, as far as a Marble Queen, it doesn't have nearly as much variegation. It's a little bit more green, and you have to give it quite a bit of light for the Marble Queen pothos to really be more of like the cream variegation. It is a beautiful plant. It is a plant that grows pretty quickly as well, and it's easy to propagate. And right now, next to it is the OG of all pothos. That is the golden pothos, and you can see where my hand is. If you cut right there, you can actually take several cuttings and create more free plants. And plant propagation is probably the best way to increase your plant collection, to be able to trade with people, and just to save money on plants. You know, as far as big box store plant shopping, big box stores have quite a bit of cost-effective plant pricing. That's the reason why I do a lot of big box store plant shopping videos. Obviously, plant foldies, I want to support local plant nurseries, so I featured them as well. But for big box stores, I think big box stores are more readily available for anybody. So that's the reason why I do a lot of big box store plant shopping videos. You can see right here, now this one is an Epipremnum aureum Enjoy pothos. Notice how it doesn't have nearly as much speckling on the leaves. There might be a couple of pearls and jade cuttings that made it, but you can see that there is a huge contrast between the white and the green variegation. And you can see we have another planter right here of an Epipremnum aureum pothos, pearls and jade. And then over here is a Philodendron brantianum. This one has a little bit of cosmetic damage. Now with the Philodendron brantianum, although I've seen people trying to grow this as a hanging trailing plant, this plant actually wants to climb up a pole, a moss pole. That is really the natural growth habit it has. And so with plants, you really want to try to give it the way it really wants to grow in nature. So if a plant wants to climb, give it a pole. If a plant wants to crawl, give it a horizontal type planter. You will get the most out of your plants because they will size up their leaves and they'll just be happy. Over here again is another Alocasia. This is an Alocasia bisma. I was really tempted to purchase this. I have been on an Alocasia purchase frenzy, but the only thing about it is I know myself. I will obsess over a certain type of family genus, and then I have to like buy every single kind. And that's not necessarily the best thing in terms of having a sustainable, satisfying plant collection. You know, I just watched another plant YouTuber, and she used to have so many plants that she used to take care of, but then burnout hit. And then she started to discuss about like a more meaningful, intentional plant collection. I am going to start pivoting toward that. I'm just in my era right right now where I'm just living my best life. I'm pretty much buying every single plant I pick up. I will say this in my future videos, because I filmed several when I did this video. There were plants that I said I would never buy again, and then I saw a sale price tag and ended up buying several plants. So stay tuned for that. These videos will come out, but this was one of my first locations I visited, and I ended up buying a plant, which you'll see later on, that I was not really expecting, because it was a plant that is definitely more challenging to grow. It's a plant that I don't really know a lot about. And whenever I do my big box store plant shopping videos, you already know Plantfoldies, I like to offer my insights for plant care, what to do with plants, and how to go about them before I even buy a plant. And this is a plant that, when you see later on in the video, was very tempting, and that temptation ended up getting me to buy that particular plant. I don't regret it yet, because I don't know if that plant is actually going to make it to plant heaven. I'm hoping I can keep it alive, but that was one of my first instances where I ended up buying the plant, and I didn't have any idea of the plant care. So as far as the plants that I've just picked up, these are all exotic angel Costa Farms plants. All of these are in the 3.5 inch starter planters for $5.98. You can see right here, this is another Hydra Helix, or what you call a curly locks Hedera Helix. Beautiful plant. I have one English ivy growing, and it is right next to a humidifier, and it has not gotten spider mites. So we'll see if I can keep it alive. That is English ivy number 15 in my collection. 14 other English ivies made it to plant heaven. So we'll see. There are just some plants that I keep saying I'm never going to add to my collection, and then a pretty one comes around, and then I just it's like being in a bad relationship that you just can't get out of. Now, Plantfoldies, let me know in the comments if you have certain plants that you shouldn't have in your collection, but you keep buying it and you keep sending them to plant heaven. Let me know in the comment section, just because I'm curious to see what plants you guys are bringing into your collections. And you already know I welcome any type of plant insights, any type of plant care, any type of plant stories you'd want to share in the comment section. It does help with my engagement, and I respond to every single comment that's even given, even the ones that are not necessarily always positive. I always say I am open for feedback, but do it in a more constructive, positive way versus just being very, negative. And I've read some which actually disappointed me, but there's a lot of Plantfoldies out there that really love me for who I am, encourage me to be my most authentic self, and I will continue to do that, just because at the end of the day, and I had to have one of my really close friends tell me, you have to do plant YouTube for yourself. You have to create content because that content brings you joy, and really prioritize what authenticity you want to give to your viewers. So feedback is appreciated, but as always, always do it with kindness. Speaking of kindness, I would say the plant that is kind would be a Haworthia. So we're looking at this Haworthia for $13.98. It is a succulent type plant that can tolerate lower light conditions, which is really shocking. And then over here we have a ZZ plant. So ZZ plants, probably the easiest plant to take care of, even more so than a pothos plant, because it is definitely low light tolerant, but it is also drought tolerant, to where even if you didn't water it for a good 3 to 4 weeks, like a month, it will still live. And actually, the way to kill a ZZ plant is if you over water it. So you just have to be very mindful about how much water you're giving it, otherwise it is good to go. This is a Dracaena sandriana, or what is always labeled as a lucky bamboo. It is not an actual bamboo, but it is one that people believe will give, good luck. And then over here is a Philodendron hederaceum Brazil by Urban Jungles. This is another ceramic planter. This is actually a really nice looking Philodendron hederaceum. Take a look at that leaf right there. Beautiful pattern on the leaf, and I just love the colors. The more bright light you give a Philodendron hederaceum Brazil specifically, it will give you better coloration. And then over here we have some more spathiphyllums, and we also have what you call the Raven ZZ. So Raven ZZ is the dark form of the ZZ plant, easy to care for plant. And again, this is another plant that some people will say is a slower grower. If you provide it with more bright light though, it will actually increase its vigor and its growth rate substantially. Also, you know, what I like about the new growth of this plant is it comes out green and then hardens to black. And then over here is an Alocasia poly in a self-watering planter, again by Costa Farms. Now the thing about Alocasia poly, it is an Alocasia that is very much so spider mite prone, more so than the typical Alocasia. Like Alocasias are known to be spider mite magnets, same thing with Hydra, Helix, but it is a plant that is a little bit more spider mite prone. So that one I kind of steer away from. And then here's another Calathea. Here's the thing about Calatheas. They are the biggest plant heartbreakers. Like I tell myself I will not buy another Calathea, even though look at how gorgeous this is for $15.98. We've got purple undersides and then we have all of this beautiful patterns. The thing about Calatheas is they are also spider mite prone. They are not good in terms of like going into drought. So you want to make sure that you keep the soil moist. And then over here for $27.98 is a planter that is missing a Phalaenopsis orchid. I think there was a Phalaenopsis orchid mixed with this croton. I do like the look of the croton plant, and it is fall season, so you're going to be seeing a lot of pumpkins, but you will also see a lot of crotons at big box stores and even local plant nurseries. I don't know what it is about crotons. Maybe it is a fall color that crotons have, but they tend to come out during the fall as like a patio planter. And you can see right here, this is a Costa Farms Training Tropical self-watering planter. You can see there is a water reservoir. Self-watering planters do really well for a lot of people, just because then it takes the guessing game out of when to plant, you know, when to water a plant. Like for instance, I am still in the hunt to buy a Xanthosoma. This is a beautiful plant as well. It reminds me of a Caladium crossed with a Alocasia. It definitely has that look, but you can see that electrifying veining it has on the leaves. Beautiful plant. It is a plant that I definitely would purchase at some point when the price is right and when the time is right. And then we have a Tradescanthia of some sort. This is the teddy bear vine. This is one that you would see often. It's not looking as healthy, and that's the thing. If you're ever going to buy at a big box store, I say this in all my videos, make sure you are really looking at the plant health. Make sure you are looking at the leaves. So if you're looking at the leaves and you see a little bit of webbing, or if you see some like powdery patches, that might signify that there is a plant pest. I would not recommend purchasing the plant because you don't know if there are eggs in the actual soil, and it can really cause a pest infestation in your collection. Now over here is another Philodendron heteroecium Brazil, but I've noticed that this one has a lot of trailing going on. So I'm going to assume that this plant has been living its best life for a while at a big box store. You can tell the plants that have been in the big box store for a while because of all of the growth it's pushed on. Sometimes I find these plants even better value just because it's more established and you're getting more plant by buying it and kind of just waiting for it to grow on its own. You can see that it may not have gotten as much light though, because the new leaves trailing down are a little bit more green. And then we're going to just keep looking at some of these Philodendron heteroeciums. You can see here we've got an Alocasia poly, an Alocasia silver dragon. But again, as far as an Alocasia poly, that is the one Alocasia I am not going to add to my collection, even though it does have such a good looking leaf structure and even pattern. This one is for $15.98. I definitely will keep you guys posted on my LECA and Pond transitions to Alocasia. I've been watching a lot of YouTube in terms of a lot of people just transferring and growing their Alocasias and even more finicky plants in Pond, and it's actually done very well for me. So far, I actually transferred a Alocasia Silver Dragon into Pond, and it's done very well. Now, what I like about the Alocasia Silver Dragon is when you touch the leaves have a very thick, leathery texture, and you can see that it already has a baby or two. That's the thing about Alocasias is they will send out corms, and these corms you can actually propagate and just actually grow into little baby Alocasias. I have been able to harvest quite a bit of corms whenever I would take all the soil out to convert the Alocasia into Pond. So that's one thing that I always recommend if you are going to buy Alocasias, especially the expensive ones. Think of them as more of like an investment plant. If you're able to get more corms out of them and grow them, you could potentially sell them, or trade them. And you know, somebody gave me, I think it was Alice on the live premiere chat the other day, about just maybe selling more plants myself to like really put up some more funds for my YouTube channel and my plant addiction. I might start doing that because I already propagate so many plants. I tend to just, you know, pretty much hoard them. So as far as like all of the ideas I have for Grow Folds community, I'm working on definitely a houseplant tour. That's, you know, number one priority. Number two would be creating a Facebook page so we can all interact outside of the live premiere chats. And then number three, maybe really getting my merchandise up, selling plants maybe on Etsy, and also selling my Grow Folds t-shirt. If you are interested in my Grow Folds t-shirt, I have several colors available and they are $25 with free shipping. So for now, if you want a Grow Folds t-shirt, definitely send me a message on Instagram and I can definitely send you one. I wear it around now whenever I do plant filming, just because then if I do run into people who watch the channel, you'll be able to see me in person. I will remain faceless for a while. I don't know if I may do a face reveal maybe sometime next year, but I still feel like if this works for me, then hopefully it works for you. I mean, for those that have actually met me in person, I always wonder what your perception is, if you actually expected me to look the way I look versus my voice in the videos. But as you can see right here, plant foldies, I have just picked up quite a bit of Costa Farms plants. It is a Costa Farms type of day. You can see right here, this is an Aglaonema red Siam, probably the most common Aglaonema alongside with the Aglaonema Silver Bay. Love the pink stems. That one is for $15.98. And then what else do we have here? We've got an Epipremnum pinnatum Baltic Blue. So this is another plant that I am wanting to purchase. And the reason why, it is something that is near and dear to me, since Epipremnum pinnatum are endemic to my home country, the Philippines. And you can see this one for $19.98. The Baltic Blue is interesting because it will actually fenestrate, and the term fenestrate means it will start to split its leaves even if it doesn't have a pole to attach on, which I think is really cool. That is one plant that I definitely need to add to my collection. It is a pretty fast grower. The thing about Epipremnum pinnatum, any type of Epipremnum pinnatum, you want to give it quite a bit of light, because if you don't, it will actually shoot out more runners versus foliage. But you can see again, we are looking at this Alocasia poly, and I don't know what it is about certain Alocasia like this where they just tend to be more spider mite prone. It actually is shocking how spider mite prone that is. And you know, that's the reason why I am so diligent about spraying my plants down with my DIY neem oil spray. I call it the Foldy Mist, where you already know, here is the recipe for it. You get a conventional spray bottle. You get 2 tablespoons of cold pressed neem oil, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, 70% strength, 1 drop of dish soap. Fill up the spray bottle with water, shake, 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 spray it on your plants, and you are good to go. I have not had any issues with pest infestations all this year, where in past time where I had a lot of plants, I ended up just having a lot of mealybugs, a fungus gnats, thrifts, you name it. It was just a whole ordeal. And that Foldy Mist DIY spray that I've done, which is also not harmful chemicals, has done a lot of good for my plants. But as you can see right here, we do have this end cap where basically Live Trends puts their plants. You can see this one is another Dracaena Tornado in a hydroponic situation. Same thing with this Aglaonema Red Siam. That one I believe is for $18. I do think it's a little bit pricey for that, but it's more like a propagation versus a full plant. And then you can see right here, this is a ZZ Zenzi ZZ plant. So this is the more compact version of a ZZ plant. It would be a perfect plant to put on a desk or someplace that doesn't get a lot of light and you have a small space. That is another ZZ plant I do need to add. And then this is a Calathea rospicta, one of my favorite looking Calatheas. And again, this is another Calathea that I have sent 3 times to Plant Heaven. I vow that I'm never going to purchase one, but you know, the leaves are just so gorgeous. Sometimes I might just cave in and actually bring it back into my collection. And then you can see over here, we've got even more plants at this low. So plant foldies, if you made it this far, again, let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think about this philodendron Birkins here? I actually like it because look at that striping on the leaves. Now, I think philodendron Birkins is actually influenced by the amount of light you give it if you want to push out more of that variegation. I'm not sure if it's necessarily the initial genetics, so please let me know in the comments if you have any insights on that. But that one is by Live Trends for $22.98. And then we also have another plant here by Live Trends in a really cool looking planter. This one is a Ficus elastica burgundy. And then we have a Ficus ginseng right over here. This one is by Urban Jungle. It looks like they attempted to make it look like more of a bonsai type setting. I do like that it does look almost like a bonsai setting, although I would prefer the planter to be a little bit more shallow. And then you can see around this corner is another self-watering planter by Live Trends. This one is actually one of my favorite alocasias. Look at the shape of that leaf. This is an Alocasia Ivory Coast, and I ended up buying an Alocasia Ivory Coast out at Costco of all places, and it was really cool just because I really like that it was very cost effective, and then also the look of just these alocasias, a really stunning look on this particular plant right here. Definitely want to get more of these types of alocasias. They're easy to take care of, and it's one that I would definitely purchase again. And then here is another Alocasia Ivory Coast. Now this one is by Urban Jungle, so you notice that we have a Live Trends one and an Urban Jungle one. I just haven't had the time to convert my Alocasia Ivory Coast into a semi-hydroponic growing situation like pond, but we're gonna go ahead and eventually do that maybe within the next week or two. And as I look at all of these plants at this big box store, like this one is another philodendron Moonlight, I just kind of reminisce on some of the plants that I've been able to acquire the last couple of months with my plant room coming together, with my home, my living room, and all of the plants that I have on display. I am getting very excited to finally do a houseplant tour, which is where you might see more than just you might just see my actual self in it. So stay tuned for that. Again, plant foldies, I do encourage y'all to leave comments in the comment section if you are interested in seeing a full-blown house tour. I am excited about it. I just want to make sure that there are quite a bit of people that still are interested in seeing my personal plants. And as you can see over here, we often see this Ficus elastica by Live Trends. This one is the Ficus elastica ruby in a self-watering planter. And with Live Trends, I have to commend them for just having all these stylish, very modern looking planters. By far, Live Trends planters are my favorite. Like you can even see right here, this is an Anthurium Super Bomb. I think that's how you pronounce it. This one is for $24.98 in a self-watering planter. So with all of the new plants that you see at big box stores, I've noticed that a lot of these plant suppliers are getting their plants into self-watering planters. I am curious, plant foldies, if you utilize self-planters, or is it more of a semi-hydroponic situation where you're using self-watering planters for like pond or leca? I'm actually curious of the amount of people that utilize leca or pond. So again, plant foldies, leave it in the comments. If you are watching this during a live premiere chat, so let me know as well. Again, the live premiere chats are super fun. I try to schedule them out daily. I try to schedule them out typically at the same time so people can plan to be on there, but sometimes it just doesn't work out for me as far as my schedule. But you can see here, we are looking at some more Costa Farms Exotic Angel starter planters. We've got these ones I believe $7.98. These are the 5-inch planters. You can see that this is a Syngonium Maria, and while Syngonium Maria is a common Syngonium that you can find at a big box store, I still think it's elegant in the sense that it does have some dark foliage. Dark foliage plants are amazing, and they typically get my attention more so than just a typical green plants, although that is a beautiful Ficus lyrata over here. And as you can see, it's a beautiful day to go plant shopping. I love filming plants for you guys. And as far as just the amount of plant shopping videos I'll have, I am really attempting to try and get you new content daily. I know with PlantCon 2024, I kind of fell off of routine just because certain things kind of got in the way with my plant filming, but hopefully now that I've been able to film a couple of plants ahead of schedule, it's just a matter of getting them edited, getting the voiceovers, and just getting my insights and thoughts. I mentioned this in a lot of my videos, but I don't really have a script or something I follow in terms of plants. I literally try to do my voiceovers to where if you were to follow me around big box stores and do plant shopping, it's literally just me talking to you as if it were you and I plant shopping. So hopefully you get that vibe, and hopefully you guys enjoy that type of format. I am interested in also showing you guys this. This is a Costa Farms mixed planter of many different plants. So you can see here we've got some marble queen pothos, we've got some type of croton plant, we've got a Dracaena Janet Craig compacta, a Dracaena marginata over here, and I think a waffle plant. So you got several plants in this dish. I again don't know how I really feel about mixed planters. I really like having more of like a contained plant in a certain plant, or like just a single plant, so that way you can really focus on that particular plant, its characteristics, its color, its leaf shape, its growth pattern, versus being distracted by a bunch of plants in one center. I would think that a lot of these mixed planters are really meant to be given as gifts. They are nice looking. I would say that the arrangements are pretty nice. Like you can see that Fittonia, the beautiful red veins on it. And speaking of Fittonias, I have a couple of lamps that I want to transition into a terrarium. So that's something I want to make before I do a houseplant tour, just so you can see some of my creative sides on how I display plants. Terrariums are fun to make. I used to have some. I have one terrarium, and it's literally a bunch of like global green pothos cuttings that have stayed very miniature, so they've stayed into that actual lamp. So I thought that was really cool. And I also think that this is super cool. So pink plants, I've got to get as many pink plants as possible. I find them beautiful, especially with bromeliads. There's lots of pink varieties of bromeliads. Same thing with aglionemas. But as you can see here, plant foldies, we've got several of these like square dish planters with all of these mixed planters here by Costa Farms. And with Costa Farms, they just source out so many plants. And I was actually watching the Costa Farms YouTube channel. I didn't realize that at least on minimum, before they release a new trending tropical plant, that it takes up to 3 years to really develop a pretty large amount of stock. And that's the reason why I do big box or plant shopping videos, is to encourage more people to purchase these plants, because we already know what happens when that plant starts to decline in its health at a big box store. They end up just making it into plant heaven, but before they go into plant heaven, they end up going into the compactor or trash, which is really unfortunate, because whenever you see that plant that is about to die or is about to just die, there's no other way to put it. It just makes me really sad to see that, a plant that could have been purchased by somebody ended up in the trash, and the amount of time it takes to actually develop a plant, to actually grow it out to the specific size. So plant foldies, I hope that if you find plants that bring you joy, definitely purchase them. Purchase as many as you can. If it's not for you, maybe you can give them as gifts. Like for instance, this one, I kind of want to purchase this Hedera Helix, but I don't know if I want to put too many Hedera Helix or English Ivies in my plant collection. This one has got a beautiful one. This has some nice variegation. I do like that the leaves are a little bit more miniature. It's a little bit more manageable. This one is also for $7.98. I am curious, and I've asked this before in my videos. I hope that Costa Farms could do a list of how many different varieties of English Ivy they have. And here is another waffle plant. So this one is the Belgian waffle plant. So we've seen the purple waffle plant, we've seen the snow white waffle plant, now we've seen the Belgian waffle plant. What differentiates the Belgian waffle plant versus the snow white waffle plant is this one has more of like a caramel tone about it. It's got some tan variegation. Again, the same characteristics applies for these waffle plants. They are very thirsty plants. They prefer higher humidity. Don't let the soil dry out completely, and you should be fine. And then over here is another Hedera Helix, or what you call a Hedera Helix PVC ivy. You can see that the leaves are a little bit of a different texture, a little bit of a different leaf shape. Like this a lot, although I feel like there's some webbing on it, so it might have some spider mites, so that's a little bit of a concern. And I am that crazy person that whenever I do plant shopping videos, after going through a lot of big box stores, before I even go near my plants, before I even enter my plant room, I rush into the shower and take a shower just to make sure that if there were any hitchhikers on me as far as plant pests, they have been washed away. I know that sounds a little bit silly, but you know, dealing with plant pest infestations, it's really disheartening. So that's why I tend to take more precautionary efforts to just make sure that I don't get plant pests. But as you can see right here, plant foldies, I'm just going through some more of the Costa Farms Exotic Angel plants. This one is in a 5-inch planter for $7.98. This is a Marble Queen pothos. This is a nice looking pothos. It's not as variegated as I would like for a Marble Queen, but needless to say, the leaves look nice. They're nice and vibrant. It looks like a healthy plant. It's another plant that I would recommend for anybody who does like pothos plants. I love pothos plants, and I think that everybody should grow pothos plants. And surprisingly, I love Pilea plants. Pilea plants are a little bit more of a thirsty plant. So what I've done in terms of just arranging my personal plant collection is I put plants that have watering needs, similar watering needs together. It just kind of reminds me that I need to take them to my kitchen sink and wash them, water them, and make sure that they stay hydrated. Like for instance, this Pilea plant right here, I don't have this one. I would consider adding it just because it does have a nice leaf texture. You know, that's the joy about plants, just the different shapes, sizes, and leaf texture. You can see there are a ton of Majesty palms. It looks like we have a yucca plant over here. Now those large foliage Majesty palms, those are plants that I'm not really interested in just because it takes so much surface space. And then you can see over here, plant foldies, we have another purple waffle plant. This one already has a bunch of aerial roots that you can take cuttings from, propagate in water, and then voila, you have another purple waffle plant. I love the purple color. Any dark foliage plants, again, they just are just so elegant. And I don't know if it's just me or if you also like dark foliage plants. There's a certain elegance around them. And then you can see that they did get another box of Costa Farms plants. Those are the large foliage plants right there. I think they had some Dieffenbachia, and you can see over here we've got some more Majesty palms. We've got some yucca canes, and these are plants that for some reason big box stores will always carry those Majesty palms. And then we have another Rex begonia here. I only have one Rex begonia, and speaking of which, I'm looking at my Rex begonia in my plant room as I do this voiceover, and it looks like it's dehydrated, so it's going to need to get watered today. With some of my other more thirsty plants, that's the reason why I always suggest, even though as beautiful as this Belgian waffle plant is, I just don't recommend getting a lot of plants that are thirsty unless you really have that time to spend watering them. I know that it sounds like a very basic essential need for plants, but I'm the type of person that I neglect my plants in the sense that I'm just busy and sometimes I just don't get to watering them. And that's the reason why it's important, plant foldies, whenever we are going plant shopping, really assess the amount of time you have for your plants. Make sure that your daily needs are met in terms of, you know, how much time do you spend at your job? How much time do you have for yourself personally before plants become a stressful chore? There are plant chores like watering, making sure you're plant pests, making sure you're cutting off any dead leaves, keeping your area clean. Those are all basic needs for plants. But then when it comes to the point where you're spending several hours taking care of plants and you have like a full-blown job, you have a family, you might have kids, don't let plants hinder your daily needs. As plants are supposed to enhance your lifestyle. It's supposed to bring you joy, and I have to really give myself grace. Sometimes some plants are going to end up having to be neglected, or sometimes I'm just going to have to put plants away to where I can't maintain them, sustainably keep them alive. So either I gift them to people that have more time or invested, or if they end up going to plant heaven, I may just end up not purchasing those plants again. I am on the borderline of where I've added way too many plants at such a fast pace, but at the moment I'm going to really just see how I balance making plant content videos daily. How do I maintain my plants? How do I you know, maintain my career with my job and just my personal life in general. There's a lot of things that I am interested in. So like, obviously I talked about origami. That's a very relaxing thing. And there's just a lot of things I like as far as being social. I like to hang out with my friends. I definitely want to meet all of our plant foldies that are in the local Dallas-Fort Worth area. We talked about doing a live meetup again, perhaps at Peta's Planters. We're gonna see. I know Jamie, if you're watching, if you do want to help me set that up, that would be perfect. Perhaps we can go out for, you know, for food or drinks. We'll see what that all looks like. But plant folies, as you can see, I am gonna walk out here into the outdoor garden section, so you can tell that it is fall season because we're seeing a bunch of crotons, specifically Croton petra. It seems that Croton petra are the most common crotons you will see. I like crotons. I hope more people would get into crotons. I understand that crotons are just a little bit more challenging in maintaining their them indoors, but if you grow them outdoors as even a patio plant, I think that they would do very well for you. And then you can see over here we've got bougainvillea. I just wish my grow zone, which is 8B, would allow me to grow bougainvillea in my landscape. The problem is we do get freezes, we get snow, and bougainvillea cannot survive that cold weather. It's not a perennial in that sense. It will just literally die. But it is a beautiful plant. I've had variegated bougainvilleas. I've had this traditional bougainvillea right here, and I just get very envious of the people who live out in California, especially off on the coast, where these bougainvilleas can literally grow into full-blown walls. They're absolutely stunning. And when you talk about tables of mums, so look at how beautiful these mums are. Obviously, these mums are almost in full bloom. And the thing about it is, if you are going to buy mums that want to last a little bit longer, you want to not buy mums that are already in full bloom like this. The cool thing about mums are during the fall season, you will be able to see more mums. It looks like big box stores carry them, local grocery stores will carry them, local plant nurseries will carry them, and there's an abundance of them. And what's cool about mums are they can be planted in a landscape and they are considered perennial. So literally they will bloom and then they will die and then they will grow back. So, you know, plant foldies, I would just say with mums, they can become a nice garden flower. It's interesting because in Japan, they actually hybridize mums or chrysanthemums to where they can get really large blooms, as large as like 2 to 3 feet in diameter, and they actually have like festivals for that. So definitely you know, do a YouTube search or check that out. I think it's so fascinating. Actually, a lot of Japanese culture, I mean, I'm just really in awe on how refined that culture is, whether it's, you know, bonsai, whether it's specifically Japanese maples, azaleas. There's just so much richness in the Japanese culture, and even within the plants, like even how they display like indoor tropical plants as a kokedama or like a moss bowl. I think that's really cool. And I actually want to do that, is actually create some kokedama and actually have like a really nice stylish presentation for some of my plants. Now over here, we're looking at kalanchoe, and you know, I love kalanchoe. Kalanchoe come in many different varieties. These ones are the blooming ones. I consider that like the blooming type succulent plant. And then they actually have a couple of succulent plants right over here. Plant foldies, if you have made it this far into the video, oh my gosh, thank you for sticking around, watching my video, enjoying the content. If you haven't already though, please make sure you have hit the like button for this video. It definitely helps the channel out. It helps grow our community, and it helps push this video out to more plant lovers like yourself. So hopefully you can take the time to simply hit the like button and just let me know what you think about the plants I've shown you today. I will have more big box or plant shopping videos throughout the week, heading into the weekend, and I am going to try to go to Costco because apparently Costco has released some very interesting plants. I posed the question about this particular plant not being readily available. Well, lo and behold, I saw some potential plants that are now readily available, and I think that's really awesome. Now, as far as the outdoor plants, you can see that they have an influx of these large foliage plants. This one is a ZZ plant. We've got some Dracaena right over here. I really like that as well. And, you know, that is a common Dracaena. And then we also have Dieffenbachia. And, you know, these large form Dieffenbachias, I think they're amazing in a sense that they do get those massive sizes. And then you can see over here, this is not a Grow Folds plant video if you don't see a cordyline Hawaiian tea plant. and it is fall season. We see a bunch of crotons. These are the croton mames. Now these ones have a little bit more green versus the fiery reds, yellows, and oranges that you would want to see on a croton plant. And then you can see we've got a ton of succulents. They just got an influx of crotons. And what's interesting about crotons is I feel like crotons are not a fast grower. So for people to be able to actually get access to all of these large ones, I believe they're only for like $19.84. Really good price. And I did want to show you this. Look at this cool cactus in bloom. Really nice looking cactus. And that's the thing about cactus, it's an added bonus to actually see them in bloom. I find them really cool when they are in bloom, and you can see that that one is starting to bloom. And then let's take a look at this. So this is an actual aloe vera plant. I wouldn't expect it to be an aloe vera. To be honest, I thought it was like an oversized Haworthia, but it is an aloe vera plant. So whenever I thought of aloe veras, I really just think of that typical green one that you would like use for medicinal purposes. But obviously there are more aloe vera than I am actually privy to. And then Oasis Plants has this mixed planter of succulents. So you can see this is a beautiful succulent arrangement. And I think adding a Tradescanthia nanuk to just give you that pop of pink gives it a nice touch. You can see that it's got some fire sticks right over there, and then some other succulents. I think there's some echeverias. Beautiful touch. It would make a nice drought resistant type of arrangement. Now, as far as the Tradescanthia though, I don't know necessarily if it would be drought resistant, but everything else wouldn't require too much water, and I really like that. You know, sometimes these little arrangements, especially with succulents, I feel like they work better versus actually mixing a bunch of like tropical plants, tropical aeroids. That to me just doesn't make nearly as much sense. But again, you know, everybody has their own I guess aesthetics about what plants they want to add. I am really trying to get into more opuntia, euphorbia, cactus, and you can see right there, I try my very best to feature that for all of our plant foldies, because this channel is all about plants, our love for plants. So whether it's outdoor gardening, vegetable gardening, which I will actually touch base on next year when it's vegetables, I'm going to just feature many plants. So just let me know what you want to see. I do love that this is another Costa Farms exotic angels hanging basket. This one's the 8-inch one for what is it, $20.98. We've got a philodendron hederaceum, although some people will call this a philodendron cordatum. Can somebody let me know what the difference is, or if there's actually a difference, if there's actually a legit philodendron cordatum? Would really like to know that. But that one is a pretty cool looking philodendron as well. It's just a common green one, but you know, with green plants, again, plant foldies, they end up being more resilient, more easy to take care of, and that's just another plant I would suggest for anybody. And then you can see right over here, this is a beautiful Epipremnum aureum, pearls and jade pothos in an 8-inch hanging basket. Gotta love that. It is a beautiful plant. It is a plant that I would recommend for any beginners. If you like high variegation, if you like cream variegation, that's another plant I would recommend. As far as like pothos plants in general, if you pick up any type of pothos plant, I just really feel like they bring people joy because they're easy to care for plant and they're easy to propagate. So if you're able to propagate a plant, you're able to share that love for somebody else, and I just love that. And one of my goals is to actually start, you know, that Facebook group for plant foldies, so that way we can post, we can share plant cuttings, we can share plant propagations, we can share plant discovery. So, you know, for those that are in the local Dallas-Fort Worth area, that's a quick way to be, you know, to keep me notified, to say, hey, I found these plants, maybe you want to film this, because I am always all over the DFW market, not just in the North Dallas area, but I will travel as far south in Dallas if there are some cool plants, or even some cool plant shops that I haven't run into. You can see right over there, there's a bunch of desert rose. I think of my plant foldie by the name of Rose. Home Depot has a bunch of red desert rose. Definitely check that out. And then we have some 6-inch planters of a Dracaena Dorado right over here. I do like the Dracaena Dorado. This one's for $12.98. And I like that these are the overage of plants that they just couldn't put into the indoor tropical section. You can see right here, they've got a hanging basket of Phytonias. Love that red veining. It has, you know, Phetonias are cool, but I know better to add a Phethonia into my collection. Currently, I just can't sustain the watering habits it needs. It's a very thirsty plant. I'm actually struggling with a couple of plants that need to be watered a little bit more frequently. Part of me wishes that my plant room actually has like a watering area, like maybe another sink to where it'd be easier. But now I just have to like, you know, take my plants to my kitchen, which is literally just a few steps away from my plant room. Aglaonema red siam. I need to go ahead and buy another Aglaonema red siam, and this is only for $15.98. I've shown my Aglaonema pink siam in some of my reels. So that's the thing though, plant foldies, if you don't have an Instagram account and you really want to see all of what's going on with my personal life and even just some plant updates or news about the plant, you know, grow folds, definitely create an Instagram. That's where I post a lot of my stories. I post a lot of announcements, and I post a lot of my personal plants as well. So hopefully, you know, you might consider creating an Instagram account. You know, I say this, but then I don't even have a Facebook account. So it kind of goes twofold, but hopefully we can get the community out there. This is so tempting. Look at how beautiful this Rex begonia is. And you can see that these are freshly unpacked Costa Farms exotic angel plants. You can tell that they are super healthy. Here's another Croton Petra for $12.98. And as far as plant restocks, if you are lucky enough to find a plant restock happening, or if a big box store literally has taken these plants out of packages, that is when the plant is most healthy. That is when the plant is most fresh. And that is the best time to plant shop, is when they just take them out of the packaging, because then they're still they're not as stressed from the moving around, and then they also still had all of that plant care that they were given to by, say, Costa Farms. You know, whenever a plant like this neon pothos in a hanging basket, absolutely stunning. Like, I'm almost tempted to buy all three since they have 3 of them. You can never have enough pothos plants. Same thing with the philodendron Brazil, but you can see that these plants are super healthy, super lush. It doesn't have any signs of plant pests because they literally have just been shipped off from Florida. So that's the reason why plant foldies, if you are a local Dallas-Fort Worth area plant lover, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel and you want to at least stay up to date with all of the plants that are entering the Dallas-Fort Worth area, highly recommend, you know, subscribe to my channel. But not only subscribing, I've noticed that some of you guys are subscribed to the channel, but you don't have the notification bell on. If you turn on the notification bell, just double check, you will see that you'll get all of the plant updates. Now, this is super cool. Normally, I ignore getting a Geothenanthus plant, but look at how dark the foliage is. Look at how cool it is. It is such a unique plant, and I've seen this before, but what I've never seen is having so many different options of Geonanthus or Geo plants. So there's about 10 of them available. So yeah, I wasn't really intending to purchase this plant. There are a couple of reasons why I am a little bit cautious about purchasing this plant. Number one, I don't really know the plant care tips. All I know is that this plant is very thirsty and it can be finicky to take care of. So I'm gonna go revisit that, but I've pretty much decided that since it's fresh, since the quality of the Geonanthus plants are there, I'm gonna purchase it. And then you can see right here, we've got an Epipremnum Arium Lemon Meringue Pothos. That's a pretty good looking pothos. You know, it is a little bit more unstable in terms of getting that yellow variegation out. But, you know, needless to say, I had one. I was able to find one at Home Depot, and I'm pretty happy with it. But you can see plant foldies, lots of different types of Costa Farms exotic angels, Costa Farms plants in general. And look at this. There are 3 more neon pothos plants. Like, I might just come back and purchase one. Like, I already know I have a hanging basket of neon pothos, but like I said, again, I feel like you can never get enough of neon pothos. Let me know in the comments if you agree, or do you think that I am just wasting my money keep buying repeat plants. You know, there are some plants, I would say neon pothos is one that I don't mind having multiples of. I don't mind having multiples of, say, philodendron pink princess, multiples of certain Aglaonema, but like, I mean, That's just gorgeous. And these are really healthy looking pothos plant. This one isn't nearly as neon colored as the other two that I've seen, but they're still a very healthy, lush and full pothos plant. And these ones are in the 8-inch planters. So I like the look of this one. It's just $20.98. And like I said, plant foldies, I am going so broke with all of these plant shopping videos, but you know, I am finding ways to earn a little bit of money. And then for those that have given me a super sticker during the live premiere chats, specifically Rose, thank you so much for sending me a little monetary tip for some of my efforts to make this plant shopping video. That's one way to support me, but the biggest way to support me on the channel is literally watching through all of my videos completely, hitting that like button. The like button is number one, and just leaving comments. That's all I ask. And you know, I feel like things will play out the way they need to play out. And you can see right here, this is a Pilea Dark Mystery. That's another plant I want to add to my collection. But these are super healthy, super fresh, super full. And I'm glad that I went out to the outdoor section. And that's the reason why plant foldies, it is important for us to explore the outdoor section. And finally, I'm just going to show you all of the Geonanthus plants right here. There are so many and they're so gorgeous, and one is going to be coming home with me today. I just have to figure out which one I'm going to actually take home today. So plant foldies, I hope you enjoyed today's plant shopping video. As always, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel at GrowFold, and this is Richie. I'll see you tomorrow. Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at GrowFolds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Home Depot out in Plano, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting that like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at GrowFolds if you want to directly connect with me and see some other content outside of this YouTube channel. Today is a beautiful late afternoon. I just got off of work and I'm gonna go check out this Home Depot. This one is further south of Custer Road in Plano, Texas. To my plant foldies, and for those that are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome, my name is Richie. I am gonna be going into this garden center area. This Home Depot typically has some great plant selection, and we're gonna see what plants they have available. I will say that there have been some surprises of what plants I've been seeing. I'm curious, plant foldies, if you've been able to find some new plant finds. And as you can see right here, lots of large foliage plants. I would say Home Depot, out of all of the big box stores, typically has the most selection in terms of the larger foliage plants. It is fall season, so we're going to see a lot of seasonal plants like crotons and mums, but we're just going to walk through here, and I already know I'm going to get myself in trouble because I've seen some nice hanging baskets. And look at on the very left, you can see there are a bunch of Calathea rospictas over here. It's for $24.98, but it's on sale for $18.88. We'll revisit that in just a second, but you can see we've got some crotons right over here and some other plants that obviously are seasonal. And you can see that this particular Home Depot actually has an indoor like greenhouse section for their indoor tropical plants. Some Home Depots, they actually have their plants outside in the outdoor section, but this one has a separate area. I prefer the big box stores that have that. You know, Lowe's may also have it as well, but as I pan around here, they've got some pretty good organization. It's late afternoon, and we're gonna just see what this Home Depot has. Now, as far as Home Depots, they typically don't have nearly as many Costa Farms plants, but we will see some Vigoro plants and proven winter plants. So we can see right here, we've got Epipremnum Aureum Neon Pothos. Now this one again is for $12.98, but it is on sale for $9.88. It looks like they just watered these plants, and I'll tell you, plant foldies, it's always a good sign when you can see that the plants are hydrated or just got hydrated by the big box stores. There are some instances where some of these plants are neglected. It's great to see that this Home Depot is really taking the time to take care of the plants by watering them. Here is a Pearls and Jade Pothos, or Epipremnum Aureum Pearls and Jade. You can see that this is not an Enjoy Pothos because an Enjoy Pothos has higher contrast than the Pearls and Jade. The Pearls and Jade also has a little bit more speckling on the leaves, so that is the differentiating factor when it comes to Enjoy Pothos versus Pearls and Jade. Hoya Carnosa. This one is for $14.98. This is probably one of the most common Hoyas that you will find at any big box store. There's a lot of different types of Hoyas, but as far as Hoya carnosa, even though it is a common one to find, it is an easy to care for plant. And when you think about Hoyas, I never was really into Hoyas until I realized that Hoyas are very much forgiving plants. And what I mean by that is not only are they beautiful, they have fragrant blooms. If you're able to get them bloom, you can see that they also get nice coloration when they are sun stressed, or when you give them more light than they really need. They are drought tolerant. And for me, Hoyas are, that is the pull for me as far as a plant. With Hoyas being drought tolerant, or at least being able to be underwatered and be a little bit more forgiving, they are definitely going to be in my collection, because I consider myself an underwaterer, and that means somebody who doesn't water their plants consistently. I mentioned this in pretty much all of my plant shopping videos, but it is a chore when it comes down to watering your plants. I believe that plants that are a little bit more drought tolerant, low light tolerant, are plants that we really need to be adding to our collections, versus plants that are a little bit more thirsty and you have to water them a little bit more consistently. I mean, for instance, right here, this is for $7.98. This is in a 4.5-inch planter. This one is a golden pothos, or Epipremnum aureum golden. This pothos plant is the common pothos plant that everybody sees. They will call this the most basic plant that there is, but it is a plant that I think everybody, whether you collect like rare plants, uncommon plants, or just plants in general, we need to be adding pothos plants into our plant collections. Like this golden pothos here is on sale for $9.88. The reason why I think we need to add pothos plants to our collection is it kind of reminds us of what a plant's potential in terms of bringing joy to you. Easy care plants are the ones to go for. Now this one is for $19.98. This is a Calathea rospicta, and I love the look of this Calathea. I love the purple tone, the dark edges of the leaves, and then the purple undersides of this particular Calathea. I have sent this particular Calathea 3 times to Plant Heaven, and I don't know, it is one of those plants again that they always tempt me. It's very tempting. I don't know if I'll be tempted to purchase it. Plant Foldies, would you purchase another Calathea rospicta knowing that you've sent it to Plant Heaven like 3 times? Calatheas are just the biggest heartbreakers. You know, that's that one person that, you know, maybe you were in a relationship in the past where you know it's not the best relationship to be with, but for some reason it's very challenging to just separate yourself. That is what my relationship is with Calatheas. Aglaonema red Siam, though, $19.88. This is an Aglaonema red Siam, and you know, Aglaonemas, we all need to create a very close relationship with Aglaonemas, and the reason being is Aglaonemas are one of the easiest plants to take care of. You can notice that this Aglaonema has a couple of little baby pups coming out, so you can propagate Aglaonemas through cuttings, or better yet, whenever they shoot out new babies, that's when you know an Aglaonema is actually happy. It's had the best growing conditions when it starts to shoot out pups. Really like that. I think everybody needs to get Aglaonemas, and it's exciting that I've seen some plant foldies, some of our viewers be plant influenced by me by trying out Aglaonemas. I really hope you will continue to add Aglaonema to your collection. I will say that I'm super disappointed, plant foldies, that I was not able to fly out to Miami, even though I did get an invite to be able to go attend there. I just couldn't get time off of work, and you know, with work being so rigorous, very demanding, I just couldn't get off of work. So I was able to at least film some plant content, some big box store plant shopping videos. I know that I am still on that big adrenaline in terms of just attending PlantCon 2024 in Dallas. That was exciting. There will be a plant swap out in North Haven Gardens next Saturday, so I'm going to go ahead and film some of that. But I'm also excited to be able to film the Texas Aeroid Show out in Houston, Texas on October 26th. Definitely want to attend that, and I will film hours and hours of plant footage, just because I felt like you guys enjoy the PlantCon videos. So we're going to definitely check that out. And then over here for $29.98 is a ZZ plant. This is just a typical green version, but if you're going to ask me the easiest house plant to grow, that would be the ZZ plant. Even as compared to the pothos plant, ZZ plants are easy because they can tolerate lower light conditions. They can actually grow pretty decently even in low light settings, and they don't have to be watered as often. Like literally, you don't even have to water them for an entire month and they will still be alive. Now, these are what you call tomathophyllums or cellums, and these are really nice specimens. I love the tomathophyllum because when I was on vacation in the Philippines back in August, my family is originally from the Philippines, so you already know plant foldies. I love to shout that I am a proud Filipino American. I saw a bunch of cellums and tomathophyllums. These plants can get massive. They can get huge. Like when I say maybe 7 to 8 feet tall, large leaves, larger than myself. Super cool plant. And it's interesting that they have some really healthy specimens here. Just like most philodendron or, tropical aeroids, you do want to provide it with bright indirect light for the best growing conditions. Water when the soil is either 60% dry. This one actually can tolerate being underwatered a little bit, which makes this an easier to care for plant. Some people will also call this a basic plant, but what is basic? When basic means that you're not going to be stressed, you're going to make it to where you can actually grow the plant to a large size. And when you have those factors factored into your plant care, then that means you're going to bring joy to yourself. And that's the thing about plant shopping videos that I do on a daily basis. I really want to go ahead and promote positivity, make sure that people are guided to purchase certain plants that is not going to bring you sadness and frustration. The most frustrating part about growing plants is when you actually send them to plant heaven. I always believe that plants in general need to bring you joy, and as far as easy to care for plants, that is what you need to go go after. Like for instance, this one right here is a Dracaena marginata colorama. So this one has more of the thinner foliage leaves with some beautiful variegation. This one is for $19.98. That's a pretty good price. And this Dracaena can actually tolerate some fairly low light conditions. Now, to get the nice pink and red variegation, you want to make sure you are giving it that bright indirect light. As a rule of thumb, and I say rule of thumb, if you want the best potential out of any type of plant, whether it can tolerate lower light conditions, try to give it the best bright indirect light, and you will be rewarded with more growth, faster growth, healthier plant, better coloration, better variegation, and even more opportunities to propagate the plant because it is happy. And as I pan away over here, plant foldies, you can see that this Home Depot has a good amount of selection in terms of large plants. Like you can see right here, yucca plants, and I don't really find yucca plants as exciting or something that I would gravitate to add to my collection. Most yucca plants or yucca cane plants are often seen in like corporate offices or dentist offices, just some type of office setting. I don't really see a lot of people running to add that to their plant collection. So that's just a plant I don't know a lot about, but it is a plant that I've heard is an easy to care for plant. Now, as far as these plants here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at all of these proven winner H2O bowls. So these are plants that are growing in hydroponics, basically straight water. This one is a Marble Queen pothos in a water. It's almost like a water propagation. Now, all of these are for $19.88, and for me, for a small water propagation type setting, I feel like $19.88 is a little bit pricey, but it is a cute little setting, so maybe it might work for some people. I'm all about saving money in terms of what types of plants you buy at a big box store. You can see over here, this is a proven winner's Philodendron Birkin, but it doesn't really have a lot of variegation. And I've noticed that with Philodendron Birkin, it's a very common Philodendron to find, but it is one that is not created equal. So you have to really be picky in terms of what philodendrons you're gonna go take home. And that is a Philodendron Red Sun that I picked up. Beautiful philodendron. That's one that I want to add because the new leaf that unfurls typically is a really bright red-orange color. And then over here is some type of Stromanthe plant as well. You can see the purple undersides. Now with Stromanthe plants, as compared to Calathea plants, they're very similar in the way they behave, but they're a little bit less finicky than a Calathea. Philodendron Sun Red, look at how gorgeous that new leaf is unfurling. Really like that a lot. Again, this is for $19.88 in a 5-inch planter by Proven Winners. Now, Proven Winners has been producing a lot of like tropical plants that they've been releasing. I do want to get a Philodendron Red Sun, just because even though it has green leaves, I love the stem colors, and I really do love the fact that as the new leaf emerges and unfurls before it hardens, it's got a really nice bright red orange tone about it, hence the name Philodendron Sun Red. And you know, plant foldies, I am curious, do you buy a lot of Proven Winner plants at a big box store? What are your go-to plant suppliers? Do you like to buy Costa Farms plants, Urban Jungle plants, Live Trend plants, Vigoro plants, or Proven Winner plants? I think those are the major 5 that I always run into whenever I'm at a big box store. But either way, I purchase pretty much all of them. And you can see even over here, this is a Ficus Chloe. So this is a different type of Ficus elastica or rubber tree plant. This one has the green version of it, but the leaves are a little bit rounder than the typical Ficus elastica. And then right over here, we have a Calathea Freddy. The thing about it is with Calatheas, you see how there is a little bit of cosmetic damage on the leaves. You can see that there is a little bit browning on the edges. A couple of factors on why Calatheas are a challenging plant to grow. Number 1, they are very much spider mite prone. Number 2, they need higher humidity. Number 3, their soil really doesn't need to dry out completely, so they're a very thirsty plant. And number 4, Calatheas prefer more like distilled or purified water. Sometimes when you water them with hard water or tap water, some of their leaves will actually crisp up and burn, you know, like get a little brown or even burn. So that's the reason why Calatheas are what you call the diva plant. If you're able to successfully grow them long term, they will reward you with beautiful foliage, but they're always a gamble in terms of like whether you should add it to your collection or not. I would not recommend Calatheas for a beginner, for somebody that's just, you know, discovering this channel and you're interested in getting some easy to care for plant. That would be a more advanced level situation. And then over here, plant foldies, you can see they've got some large Ficus lyratas right here, $24.98. And what I like about Ficus lyrata is it is a beautiful plant. It is another plant that can get very massive. Couple of tips for Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf trees. Bright indirect light, the more light you can give it, the better it's going to work. It does like consistency, so if you're going to take a Ficus lyrata into your home, find a south facing window, a west facing window, leave it there. Try not to move it around a lot because it thrives on consistency. And water, try not to let it dry out completely. Water when the soil is about 50% full. And if you want to get it to grow a little bit better, to keep spider mites or any types of pests away from it, add more humidity to its environment and it will reward you with large leaves. I've seen Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf trees be as tall as 20 feet tall. When I was in the Philippines, they were full-blown trees growing out in full sun. Same thing with the Ficus elastica burgundy right here. I've seen these rubber trees, Ficus elastica burgundy, Ficus elastica altissima, Ficus elastica tinikis, be 20 foot trees in the Philippines, and they were absolutely stunning. Like they were definitely showstoppers. I was very much envious at the fact that in a tropical Southeast Asian country like the Philippines, these plants can thrive with very little to no plant care. I've mentioned this in all of my videos, but plant care is really another way to say how close can you get the plant to its natural environment. That's basically it. So when you talk about bright indirect light, whether it's a plant that grows under like as an understory plant or humid conditions, adding more humidity, it's probably because the plant was used to a humid environment. Like these Ficus elastica, if you're able to give them even more humid environment, they will definitely grow at a more vigorous rate. Now, Proven Winners has a lot of Ficus elasticas or rubber tree plants. I really do like them. They're easy to propagate. You can either propagate them through air layering or through cuttings. My grandmother, who is an expert of plants, she propagates Ficus elastica or rubber tree plants so easily. She does it through air layering. So that's, one way to do it. And when you trim back a Ficus elastica or a rubber tree plant, it actually branches out and you get more of like a tree form versus just a one stem plant. So that's an interesting way to actually grow your Ficus elastica or rubber tree plants. All of the ones I just picked up from Proven Winners are for $19.88. beautiful green shields plant by Proven Winners. I actually got this on sale for $14.88 at another Home Depot, and mine was a little bit more full. Some people will say that this plant is actually a finicky plant, but mine has done very well. I actually display it by having it sit on my floor my plant room on the floor, so that way I can admire the leaves. And then you can see right here, this is another type of ficus plant. Now with all ficus plants, I always say as a rule of thumb, if you're able to give them more light, high light, bright indirect light, give them that light, because you're going to get the best out of them in terms of just the vigor of their growth. And then you can see over here is an Alocasia cucullata. Now the thing about Alocasia cucullata, I've noticed that it is another alocasia that is a little bit more spider mite prone as compared to other plants. So we just want to make sure that you're providing it with the humidity. As for me, I have actually been growing Alocasia as a semi-hydroponic situation where I grow it in leca or pond. I've been actually converting them to pond, and they've been doing okay for me. I feel like there is an acclimation period that is necessary. So we shall see if they actually acclimate and actually show some vigorous growth. Now, some of my friends who actually grow Alocasia in pond say that that is the best thing to put them in terms of the substrate. You can see right over here, we have another Alocasia longiloba. I think that's what you call it. I have one that I bought from Home Depot. That was the one from Prosper, Texas Home Depot. I neglected it, but luckily it has still been able to live, and I just need to have some time to convert them into pond. Now, my next day off would be Tuesday. Since I am working this weekend, I'm hoping that I can at least get you guys some new content, but also do a lot of my plant chores on Tuesday. So we're going to see what that looks like. I do look forward to having that plant swap that is going to happen next weekend at North Haven Gardens. So definitely check that out. And as you can see here, plant foldies, late afternoon, the sun is still shining, and you can see that this is another one for $10.98. This is another Calathea rospicta. This one is more of that gray tone about it. And the thing about it is, look at how beautiful the foliage is on that particular plant. Like, I just really think they are so tempting to buy. Like, this is another Calathea. This is a Calathea lancifolia, and what I like about the Calathea lancifolia is you can see that the leaves are a little bit more narrow. It does have that like rattlesnake look about it. I also called it the rattlesnake Calathea. And then we also have another Hedera helix, or what you call a Hedera helix or English ivy. Beautiful green plant, just a challenging one to grow indoors. If you've been following this channel for a while, you already know that I have an obsession about trying to grow an English ivy indoors. They are just so challenging to grow. And then you can see here for $10.88, this is another terracotta planter that it's in, golden pothos. And the thing about golden pothos is, I think the reason why a lot of people just kind of overlook this particular plant is it's because it's so readily available, and then it's not really an expensive plant, but you can never have enough golden pothos. I feel like they are fast growers, they're easy to propagate. And it's the same thing with Hoyas. Like even this green Hoya carnosa right here, I do think it's a Hoya carnosa Crimson Princess. Beautiful plant, but with it being such an easy to find Hoya at a big box store, I think a lot of people kind of just ignore it or overlook it and go after more of the rare or uncommon philodendrons, Hoyas, or any type of plant. Whenever you look at a plant like this, for instance, this is a Croton petra. And what's interesting is when it is fall season, for some reason, Croton petras just tend to show up. Crotons in general have been labeled as a fall seasonal plant. But the thing about it is crotons are not fall plants, because the countries of origin that crotons come from do not even have like a fall season. So it's just really interesting that certain plants get dubbed a certain seasonal plant when it's really not even in that same type of environment. Over here though, I like the look of this. This is another Vigoro plant. Now this one is a Hoya carnosa Crimson Queen. I love that white or cream variegation of this particular Hoya. Again, with Hoyas, as far as like basic plant care tips for Hoyas, you want to provide them with bright indirect light, lots of light actually, and then you can just water them when the soil is completely dry. Actually, over watering them will actually end up killing the Hoya. So bright indirect light, water when the soil is completely dry, give it a good soak. If you give it higher humidity levels, it will actually love you forever, because it does like that humidity. And then same thing with pothos plants. Pothos plants, especially even the golden pothos, can really thrive in lower light conditions. Now, if you do give a golden pothos a lower light condition, it's gonna not give you the more variegation. It'll actually revert back to potentially just a jade pothos or a green pothos. So more light that you can provide for a pothos plant, the better coloration you're gonna get. As far as this Monstera adansonii, these are all for $14.88 by Vigoro Plants. You want to give Monstera adansonii actually a pole or some type of totem to climb, because it is a climbing plant. You will get larger leaves and it will actually give you cooler fenestrations. And then here is a common but easy to care for classic Aglaonema Silver Bay. This one is also for $14.88. And between the Aglaonema Silver Bay and the Aglaonema Red Siam, those are the two that you will find. And then a close third would be an Aglaonema Maria. But even though this plant is readily available at big box stores, I still think you should add it to your plant collection, because it can tolerate a lower light area in your home. So if you don't have the best lighting, you can still grow an Aglaonema Silver Bay. It may not grow as quickly, but it will also not decline in its health. It can actually survive and potentially do okay in that type of setting. Now, as far as a Sansevieria, this is a Sansevieria trifasciata, $14.98 again by Vigoro Plants. This one is labeled as a low light tolerant plant. The thing about it is, if you give it more bright light, it's just going to do better for you in the long run. So as far as quote low light tolerant plants, I always go with the caution and just tell people that if you're gonna grow a plant in low light conditions, just expect the plant to not be as vigorous in its growth. It will survive, but it will not thrive. For instance, this Dracaena, this is a Dracaena Steed Soul, beautiful plant as well, can tolerate lower light conditions. It is another plant that a lot of people oversee and just like not really pay attention to. Now this one right over here is a cordyline Hawaiian tea plant, very challenging plant to grow indoors. I would not try to grow that indoors. Same thing with croton plants. Some people can grow croton plants indoors, but the lighting requirements for a croton plant is super high. Like croton plants need to really be in full sun for them to really thrive. So I just don't know how that would be in terms of growing them indoors. Plants that are grown indoors typically are plants that need that are a little bit more low light tolerant, hence they are called house plants. All plants that are grown indoors have come from some type of outside environment. So if you do find a plant, for instance, like this is a Ficus lyrata, you already know that this natural environment for a Ficus lyrata, it is a actual tree, but when grown indoors, they need quite a bit of bright indirect light for them to really do well. Same thing with Majesty palms. So whenever I look at Majesty palms, they're so readily available at a big box store. I don't really gravitate to Majesty palm, just because Majesty palms, not only do they take up a lot of space, they require quite a bit of light. So that's a double whammy for me. Now, if you look at this is a massive spathiphyllum, or what you call a peace lily. Peace lilies, the only drawback is that they are super thirsty plants. Like you need to water them almost on a daily basis, but look at how large their leaves can get. So if you want something that can get massive, that is also very low light tolerant, you can grow a spathiphyllum, or what you call a peace lily. So that is a plant I don't have in my collection. If I am going to grow a peace lily, I might as well grow it in hydroponic substrate, where it's literally sitting in water versus having to grow and worry about having to water the plant. I also love that, we looking at just green Monstera deliciosa. So we see a lot of variegated Monstera deliciosa. Some of them have made it to big box stores, like a Monstera Thai Constellation. But even the green form of a perfect Monstera deliciosa leaf, those are always nice. I have 3 Monstera deliciosas that I'm currently growing in my home, and they're doing wonderful. $44.98. This is a 10-gallon Croton Petra. Really like the look of that. And then as I walk around here, plant foldies, you can see we've got some more Dracaenas, and then over here we've got some Alocasia Regal Shields. It looks like these were not as healthy. It looks like some of the leaves have actually died off, but we also have a bunch of Monstera deliciosas. Again, this one is a semi-mature Monstera deliciosa. You can see that some of the leaves have started to get large. Some of them have started to split, or what you call fenestrate. And then all of these are by Nature's Way plants. So you can see that Nature's Way has sourced out to a lot of big box stores. You'll notice that they have a couple of mixed planters making it into Lowe's, but at Home Depot, they have a lot of large foliage plants as a staple. And I like that. I like to have options whenever I go plant shopping at big box stores. As you already know, Plant Foldies, we have been seeing a lot of these mixed planters. This one's for $29 or $21.28. You can see that you've got a Sansevieria Moonshine right over here with a Marble Queen Pothos right over here. So I would say that both plants are low light tolerant, but what's interesting is these plants are influenced by the amount of light, whether they get really good variegation or coloration. So this planter actually makes sense. You have to give it more bright indirect light for them to really maintain that color. And then over here we have a Neon Pothos right here for $21.98. Neon Pothos with a ZZ plant, and both plants could be low light tolerant, but if you really want to maintain the neon color of a pothos plant, this neon colored pothos plant, you want to give it more bright indirect light. Now if you give the ZZ plant more bright indirect light, it's definitely going to grow at a faster rate, which I really like, because if you're not going to give it that fast if you want them to grow a little bit slower, then definitely give them lower light conditions, but bright light equals better, more vigorous growth. And both plants, even though they are common, basic plants, as most people would say, are still plants that are beautiful. And I think that people should add that to your collection. So Plant Foldies, number one, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much. Number two, if you haven't already, please make sure you are hitting that like button. Please, please, please hit that like button. I know you hear me asking, so I hope that you can hit the like button for this video. It does help with the engagement, and also to be able to push more of these videos to more plant lovers like yourself. And also leave comments. Let me know what types of plants you are liking. I am loving that these plants right here, these Monstera deliciosas, even though the leaves are small, they have already started to split and fenestrate. I would love to see more of like a miniature Monstera deliciosa plant. That would be awesome, because when it comes down to Monstera deliciosas, I feel like they are plants that take up a lot of space, and so you have to really plan for how much space you have in your home. You know, it's always interesting that we can go to a big box store, right? Take a look at these plants and then think that they're going to remain that size. Well, most plants will actually get pretty large after so much time. So I think even when you debate on whether you're going to buy a plant, you have to look at the long-term effects of whether you're going to have that plant growing long-term in your home. Now with the Monstera deliciosas, for instance, I already know that I'm either going to have to chop and prop them, or I'm gonna have to find more space somehow, like even over here. So one Aglaonema that I like, I don't even know this Aglaonema plant ID. So if you know the actual plant name for that, please let me know. But it is one of my favorite Aglaonemas. I think the beautiful silver foliage is there. This one is for $29.98. That is one Aglaonema that I definitely want to add to my collection, but I don't necessarily have all of the space figured out on whether I can put a plant or not. So I did have to go run an errand, so I had to like go back and actually film this portion of the video. So it is a lot later for this Home Depot plant shopping video. You can see that we're in the outdoor section, and you can see that the sprinklers are on. You can see they've got planters, different types of planters. We've got some coleus plants here. So coleus are still in season, but what's really in season are all of the mums or the chrysanthemum that are available. Also, we've got a ton of Croton Petras. It seems like every local plant nursery, every big box store is selling a bunch of Croton plants. I love Crotons. I say that in all my videos. I hope that you guys will learn to love Crotons, or at least attempt to grow them. They are a more intermediate plant to grow, but if you are able to grow them outdoors in full sun or even a lot of light, like maybe a shaded area, I think they will do well for you. I love the look of their colors. And, you know, as far as Crotons, you just got to make sure that you stay on top of the watering, meaning you need to be watering them consistently. Don't let them completely dry out. You want to make sure that you are watering them, because they are pretty thirsty plants. But as you can see here, Plant Foldies, I'm just going to walk around and pan around here to show you what plants they have available in the outdoor section. We're going to go back into the indoor section and talk a lot about some of the indoor plants that they still have available that I have not really fully discussed in detail. And as you can see, Plant Foldies, whenever you watch my big box store plant shopping videos, I will talk your ear off. And so I am always like fascinated that you guys give me the time of day, invest your time to engage with me. And I cannot tell you how thankful I am, plant foldies, that you continue to go to my big box or plant shopping videos, even though these are plants that I talked about the previous day, the previous week, the previous month. But it's just exciting that you guys care enough to listen to what I have to say. And I can't thank you guys for all of the engagement you've given me. And you can see right here, plant foldies, this is a Croton Mame for $19.88. I like the look of Croton Mames. I like the darker colored crotons. Whenever I think about the maximum potential of croton plants, I think about my time in the Philippines, where these were literally full-blown trees, like 15 to 20 feet tall, and all of the colorful foliage was just absolutely stunning. I would love to be able to grow crotons, but the only drawback about trying to grow crotons outdoors in my grow zone, which would be 8B North Dallas, is we have cold winters, and crotons absolutely hate the cold. Like when it starts to dip down in the weather, they start to drop their leaves, because when you think about a croton's natural environment, it is more of like a Southeast Asian country like the Philippines, where it's humid weather, you get lots of bright light, they get an ample amount of rain, but it never really gets cold and never gets truly hot like Texas. I mean, you don't get 100+ degree weather in the Philippines. So whenever I think about certain like plants, tropical plants, like even this cordyline tea plant, this is the kiwi version. I remember seeing these just growing out on the sides of the roads, in the jungles in the Philippines, and they were just doing perfect because they had the ideal natural climate. Now, if you ever try to grow cordyline plants indoors, they are very much guaranteed to get spider mites. It's the same thing with calatheas. Like calatheas, unless you are paying attention to the leaves, you have to really make sure that either you're spraying them down with neem oil or you are watching for pests. And that's part of the plant, the plant journey. Like you can't just bring plants and expect to not water them. You just can't expect to bring plants and expect to not give them the lighting conditions they need, the watering conditions, just the pest preventative, and for them to really thrive. You know, my grandmother once told me that there isn't such a thing as called a natural green thumb. The natural green thumb does not exist. It's literally the amount of passion, the amount of love, the amount of attention and care you give to the plant. So for me, I'm a little bit more jealous with my grandmother, because she does have the time to literally like water her plants, groom her plants, manicure her plants, clean the leaves, wipe them down, make sure that they're in optimal condition. Because if you haven't seen that video, the big box or plant shopping video and my interview with my grandmother, definitely check that out, because you will see that her plants are just phenomenal. They are thriving, and you can tell that it's not just the way the plants look. You can literally tell that the plants were giving a lot of love. And I'm hoping that through my plant shopping videos, through my daily content, I've been able to inspire people to really look at plants as not just a hobby, but as a lifestyle to where you utilize plants as a place for mindfulness, to teach you with like certain routines. I think that that's what's really given me a lot of value with growing plants, is the fact that it grounds me to the point where, even though I have a very stressful job and I hope to be able to retire very soon to where I could really just invest in my plants, but it's more of giving me that mindfulness to where I can just like sit down, look at a particular plant, really look at the details of the plant, really admire what the plant can offer in terms of its physical look, and then also be reminded that in order for me to maintain that beauty of the plant, I also have to invest in having solid routines. I mean, it's the same thing with just how we groom ourselves. Like we all need to take a shower, we all need to at least try to eat 3 meals a day, we all need to be active. All of that, same thing for our plants. And I know that I'm spending a lot of time talking about routines and more plant insights instead of just the plant shopping itself. but I do feel like it's important. I know that you guys already tune into my videos on a daily basis, so I want to give you guys more plant insights and just things like that. Like for instance, we're going back in here, and this one is for $16.88, right? Beautiful Croton Petra, but even just the display of having like almost like a wooden barrel type look, it would be a perfect patio plant. And like part of me wants to just buy this Croton Mame, this Croton Petra, and have like a nice fall patio setting. But then I also think about what happens when fall is done and winter, winter is coming, winter has come. Where do I store these plants? And I ask this because plant foldies, we all have been in a situation where we just go crazy on buying plants. I buy plants like it's nobody's business. I buy plants as if it was Christmas for me every single day. I do know I have a plant addiction. I've been able to work on, trying to have more of an intentional, meaningful plant collection versus trying to hoard a bunch of plants. I was watching a YouTuber, for instance, and she actually ended up having hundreds of plants. She was making, YouTube content for years and years, constant daily videos. And then it got to the point where she suddenly fell off and didn't make any content. Then she came back and she came up with a really, really nice video about just, how she had to step back and actually reassess the purpose of her plant collection. Was it really bringing her joy, or was it actually adding more stress in her life? And I've noticed that there is a larger trend right now where people are downsizing their plant collection. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily downsizing my plant collection. I would say that I am a little bit more cautious about feeding my plant addiction and really thinking, are adding more plants really bringing me joy, or are they really adding more workload to me? Right now, the answer is no. I still feel like my plant collection that I have, that I want to do a houseplant tour at very soon, has become manageable. But there is a borderline where I feel like if I keep adding another 20, 30 more plants, then I'm going to be in trouble. So anyways, going back to all of the plants. So we are back to the greenhouse area of this Home Depot. You can see that I've shown you guys quite a bit of proven winter plants. This is the leaf bowl series where basically they have these plants growing in straight water. The thing about it is, if you're going to grow plants in water, like for instance, this is a beautiful Calathea Beauty Star, $19.98. I thought I could grow Calathea in just straight water because then it would make it easier for them to grow since you don't have to water them often because they're already in water. The one thing I missed was actually still pest preventative. Even though they were getting watered, the fact of the matter is, even though they're sitting in water, it's not ambient humidity. You still have to have pretty good humidity. More so, you just still need to be able to watch for spider mites. So my thing about it is, if I am gonna grow Calatheas, I will water them on a more consistent basis. I will definitely be spraying them with my neem oil preventative spray just to make sure that, pests don't attack it. I will say there is a 99% guarantee that no matter how well you keep up with your plants, you will find plant pests. So it is a matter of making sure that it is part of your plant routine to look under the leaves, to look on the top of the leaves, to look at the surface of the leaves, to make sure that if there are any signs of pests that you are taking care of it. Signs of pests would be like webbing on the leaves, that's spider mites, little cotton ball looking things on your plants, that's mealybugs. If you start seeing yellowing on the leaves, that could potentially be thrifts. If you're gonna ask me what the most difficult plant pest to deal with, it would be thrifts. Thrifts really just annihilate plant collection. So any signs of that, you wanna make sure that you are looking out for it. With me, I try to spray my plants with neem oil at least once a week at minimum, but really whenever I take my plants, I have this thing now where plant foldies, I just take them to the shower. I use my shower head and water them as if I was using a garden hose. And that way I'm also spraying down the leaves. So you know, spider mites, they just get washed away. And then after I do that, I end up just spraying the plants with my DIY foldy mist, which is a neem oil spray that I mix myself, and it makes them shiny, and it also gets rid of the pests. So this year, since I've started collecting plants again more seriously indoors, I haven't had any full-blown plant pests. So that's a really good deal about that. But as you can see, plant foldies, I don't know if I'm going to make any bad decisions today. You're going to have to really see that at the very end of this video. You can see right here, like I'm almost tempted to buy another Alocasia longiloba, but you can see that there is yellowing on the leaves. So it is not a healthy looking plant, and it's not a plant that's on clearance to where I could potentially take the risk of taking a plant that might have pests home. I don't think the price point is going to be worth it. Those are all for $29.98. And I do find this endearing, and I feel really bad because I bought a Philodendron gloriosum, love the velvety textured leaves. It literally sits in my garage under a grow light, and I don't know how it is still surviving and living. Like, I meant to repot it, but the thing about Philodendron gloriosum is you really have to find a pot that is more of a vertical pot, or more horizontal, because it likes to actually crawl across the soil substrate. It is a philodendron that is considered a crawler and not a climber, and that's just a plant that I have really neglected, but you know, it has been very resilient in a sense that it hasn't died and it hasn't really declined in its health. I'm surprised it hasn't been infested by spider mites, because Philodendron gloriosum, along with all of the plants that are a little bit more velvety in texture, tend to be more prone to spider mites, and I don't know why. And then over here, plant foldies, we've got another beautiful Stromanthe type plant. This is Leaf Joy by Proven Winners, and I have to commend Proven Winners. They have some really nice looking plants, and sometimes I feel like their plants are a little bit pricey, but if you find them at a big box store like Home Depot, you can save money by just going at the right place at the right time and getting lucky, because Home Depot actually has some pretty good sales. They definitely don't clearance their plants out like maybe Lowe's or Walmart, but when they do have a sale, sometimes it's up to 50% off. Now here's a traded Scanthia that I like, Feeling Flirty. I don't have mine anymore, but I may consider buying one again, just because I do like that it's got more compact growth. And you already know plant foldies, pink plants, you've got to have it. I've got to have all of it. And I know that for a lot of our plant foldies that watch my videos, I know you guys like pink plants. I don't know if I've just influenced y'all or if we are all naturally inclined to have pink plants. I also love neon colored plants. I love very flamboyant colors like this, like the crotons. You already know, some people say this is fall vibes. I always attribute looking at crotons as looking at some of the just reminding me of the Philippines, and I love the Philippines so much. I do recommend for anybody who's wanting to take a vacation that you would consider the Philippines, because the Philippines, the most expensive part about going on vacation to the Philippines would be the plane ticket, and it is about a 17 or 18 hour flight from the United States if you are living out in Texas, for instance. Now, if you live out on the West Coast like California, it's definitely going to be a shorter flight, but if you're able to make that long journey to the Philippines, beautiful country, and you will be able to see all of these plants, like this neon pothos plant growing up like a coconut tree or some type of tree, and really seeing huge leaves up to like 5 to 6 feet in width, and it's just stunning. I do have to say that as far as the Vigoro hanging baskets, I appreciate that they have those available. You know, you can either pay $19.98 for a Vigoro hanging basket of neon pothos, or you can buy a Costa Farms hanging basket for like $20.98. So there's not a huge price difference, but that's the thing I love about, pothos plants, golden pothos, jade pothos, neon pothos. This one right here is a marble queen pothos. That one's for $19.98. This one doesn't have that high variegation. And again, that is the only thing I would say drawback for marble queen pothos is the lighting. It really does impact the variegation. I would say even golden pothos as well. When you start to reduce the lighting of the golden pothos, then you don't really see the maximum potential or the coloration of it. Now over here, we've got a Monstera adansonii. This one is for $19.98, again by Vigoro Plants. Now this right here, the Vigoro Plants Monstera adansonii, I feel like they're the narrow form, and honestly, I prefer the wide form of the Monstera adansonii. The only Monstera adansonii I have is a Monstera Adansonia variegated form Japanese tricolor, and I was gifted by Fitzgerald Tropicals. They are a local rare plant seller out in Dallas. They propagate their plants, and I love the fact that they were able to get me a tricolor variegated Adansonii. So again, plant foldies, sometimes you can acquire some really rare plants by having friends that are willing to share, or trading cuttings, or trading propagation. So I urge everybody to look and make friends with plant foldies. I am working on a Facebook page. I want to be able to have a community where we can post up plants, or plants that we want to either purge from our collection if we're downsizing plants, or if we want to just gift plants in general. That would be another thing, and I think that that will definitely be in the works for all of our plant foldies. So we'll see what that looks like. But other than that, as far as my my plants that I want to work on, I want to also get some more like Hoya Carnosa or Hoya Crimson Queen. We'll see what that looks like. But in general, I just want to be able to grow plants where I don't get a lot of fuss for it. You know, there was a moment where I was buying a bunch of alocasias and just converting them into pon. My alocasia cuprea that I bought from Costco that I converted into pon isn't doing well. I've actually had to cut the leaves back. So I'm just hoping that maybe it's just acclimating to the substrate. We'll see, because I've seen some other YouTubers actually convert their plants into semi-hydroponics, and they say that it's worked out for them. I just noticed the other day that my alocasia large form bambino from Green Acres nursery isn't doing well in pon. I don't know if I just have to water the substrate or what that looks like. I've kept my humidity levels a consistent 60-65 in my plant room, so I don't know if I actually have to like increase that. But as you can see, plant foldies, this is the decision I need to figure out. $24.98 is now on sale for $18.88. These are massive calatheas. We have got a Calathea macuyana here. I remember purchasing a Calathea macuyana from Walmart, and not Walmart, from Home Depot earlier this year. It was the same size, but I ended up neglecting it, and it ended up going to Plant Heaven. Like, part of me wants to buy it again, because look at this. For $18.88, I would say that is such a good price for a Calathea, because you have to think, Calatheas this size, it took a while for somebody to grow this. Like, the grower had to take time to take these really fussy plants to grow them these sizes. And my biggest fear is we have all of these gorgeous calatheas right here, big sizes. I think it's a really good value, but how many people are actually going to buy these plants while they're still in good health? It looks like they just restocked these with all of these calatheas. Like, literally, I saw this and I was like, wow, I did not see this in the last couple of weeks. They're normally $24.48, but they are on sale for $18.88. Like, this is a Calathea rattlesnake, or Calathea lancifolia, beautiful plant. That is a really good size for it, because when you think about it, there were some Calatheas in a 6-inch planter for $19.88, but then you're also getting a large foliage plant right here. It's just really interesting, the decisions you have to make when it comes down to buying these large foliage plants. Like, look at this, plant foldies. Would you buy this Calathea rospicta for $18.88? Like, that is... wow, that is phenomenal. That is something that is really tempting to me to make bad decisions. What do you think, plant foldies? Should I make a bad decision and buy me a Calathea, or 2 Calatheas, or 3 Calatheas? Let me know in the comment section for sure. Like, I really want to know what you think. If you are in my position right now where you were not expecting to buy a beautiful Calathea, but the price is right, $18.88, that is an amazing price. And these Calatheas are actually in good form. Like, they don't have any crisping on the leaves. Their leaves are actually nice and shiny. They would just make a good little statement piece. And like this one right here, look at that. Silver foliage. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. This is another Calathea rospicta of some sort. I love that it's got a gray silver tone about it. And then when you look at the purple undersides, it just gives you a just more leaf interest, and I absolutely love that. So we'll see what that looks like, plant foldies, if we're gonna go ahead and invest in that. I think I should. Let me know in the comments if I should, if I shouldn't. Like I said, again, just let me know. But it looks like I may end up making bad decisions. Like, this one right here is definitely, you know what, plant foldies, I've got to get this. I've got to buy this large Calathea dotty. Where do you find Calathea dotties like this? Normally, this is a trending tropicals Costa Farms plant that's sold for $20.98 in a 6-inch planter, but we are now seeing these in 8-gallon planters or 8-inch planters. We've got to go ahead and purchase this. Like, I feel like I have to purchase this. Or is this a 10-inch planter? I mean, this is a large foliage plant, and I mean, I rarely see Calathea dotties. So yeah, that Calathea dottie, I think I'm gonna make the bad decision and go ahead and buy this plant. And this is an example, plant foldies, you are witnessing this right now, where I end up finding myself in a situation where either I'm going to add more stress to myself or I'm going to reward myself if I'm able to grow this plant successfully. But like I said, again, plant foldies, it is all about, you know, weighing the pros and cons. And for me, the pro is the fact that it is only $18.88. I am finding a beautiful Calathea for a really good price. The con is the likelihood of it making it to plant heaven is probably 80%, but I just want to get those large foliage plants. So maybe I need to go think about it. So let me just keep walking around and looking at these plants. Again, plant foldies, would you go ahead and buy 1, 2, 3, or 4 Calatheas today? I really want you guys to leave that in the comments. I'm just really curious to see if you are following my plant journey, what you think of my insights. And again, if you made it this far, and if you did, thank you. This has been a long video already. Please make sure you are hitting that like button for this video. I've noticed that sometimes we'll have like maybe 60 viewers but only like 24 likes, so I don't know if it's because you don't like my video or maybe you haven't hit the like button, but I would really like to see if you can do that for me. It'll just validate that I'm doing a pretty decent job to provide this daily plant shopping videos. It does take me quite a bit of time to produce this content, but I always think about how I would be disappointed if I was looking for some plant content, and I don't mind it. Like I said, again, it's more like therapy for me to be able to make this type of content for you guys. But I would love to see your insights. So if you haven't already, make sure you are hitting the like button for the video and also leaving comments. But you can see right over here we have another Calathea rospicta right next to a Hawaiian cordyline tea plant. Look at that dark foliage, and then you can see at the background there is that beautiful Croton petra. Really like the Croton petra. It's got that nice yellow contrast to the purple. And when you think about the opposite sides of the color wheel, purple and yellow are complementary colors. They are on opposite sides of the spectrum of the color wheel, and when you put them together, they really pop the color. But again, these are Calathea rospictas for only $18.88, and look at the dark foliage over there. What I would do, honestly, is if I am gonna bring a Calathea back or make that decision, I would definitely use my neem oil spray, and I will probably spray these plants every other day, and then also try to have a humidifier nearby. I definitely need to make sure that I'm staying on top of the watering. Here is a plant though that it wouldn't be a bad decision to purchase. This is a Philodendron Rojo Congo, and the reason why I say it wouldn't be a bad decision to grow a Rojo Congo is because this plant isn't a finicky plant. So when you talk about large foliage plants, like that is a massive plant, but it is easy to care for. So I'm debating on whether I should just buy a Philodendron Rojo Congo or should I get those Calatheas. I mean, with the Calatheas, look at that. They're calling my name. They're saying, Richie of Grow Folds, you need to buy 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, we'll see. Or should I just go with a more conventional Aglaonema right here? Like, would you pick this Aglaonema or would you go for the Calatheas that I showed you? Again, plant foldies, leave it in the comments. That's what makes this YouTube channel a lot of fun for me personally, is that engagement. I really want to know what you think. But like this one right here, I have been meaning to purchase it. I feel like this would be a good place for like an entryway plant, because I have a darker entryway and this could actually tolerate living in that area, and it wouldn't actually decline in its health. It would just be even slower in its growth. But look, for $29.98, there's so many plants already. And then just imagine spraying this down with neem oil spray and seeing the leaves get super shiny. That's the thing about these large foliage Aglaonemas. The silver tones, the blue tones that they have are really beautiful. And again, plant foldies, you already know I don't see a lot of people just getting excited about Aglaonemas, but why would you not get excited about Aglaonemas? Like this one is an Aglaonema. I think think either Golden Bay or is it White Rain. Either way, it's a beautiful plant. If you look at the nuances, it almost looks like an Aglaonema Silver Bay, but the stems are white, which I love, white stem Aglaonema. And then if you look at the veining, there is a faint yellow color about it. Just the minute details of a plant's foliage is what makes me excited about certain plants. And if you're gonna ask me my current loves of which family of plants I'm really into, number one, Aglaonemas are number one still. I would say Syngoniums have really brought themselves back to the top, Philodendron, and then Monsteras. Those are really the plants that I'm into, but then I also like the more unique plants as well. But this one right here, like, should I just buy 2 Aglaonemas, like this Aglaonema White Rain, and also the Aglaonema that I don't know the plant ID, or should I buy 2 Calatheas for $18.88 that have some really cool leaf interest? And the reason why I am getting excited about the Calatheas is I don't really see them in that large of a size. Most plant shops will sell them at the size of, like, 6-inch planters, but to find one in an 8-inch or I think 10-inch planter, that's a really good price for $18.88. And we talk about instant gratification, right? Plant foldies, when you think about if you're gonna buy a large foliage plant, you're probably buying it because you don't want to wait to grow the plant. Like, oftentimes we'll buy plants and we want to watch it grow, we want to see it thrive, but sometimes we just want to see it large and we want to be able to absorb, observe it and just really watch it grow even larger. I want to see if I can grow these Calatheas. It's like me and Hydra, Helix, those English ivies. I keep sending them to plant heaven, but I keep wanting them to come back to me. It's like being in a bad relationship where as much as you feel like it is a good relationship or a good situation, in the end, the outcome is it's not a good place for you to be. That's how I feel about Calatheas. And that's how I feel about the Calatheas that I am probably gonna buy, because they have tempted me to the point where I feel like if I don't buy them, I'm gonna regret not buying the plant. I mean, worst case scenario. So if we're gonna go worst case scenario, I buy a Calathea as gorgeous and large like this, and I'm not able to grow it. It ends up in plant heaven. Lesson learned, I'll be out of, some money, but that's really it. But if I don't buy the plant, then I end up just like regretting on whether I could have been able to grow it or at least be able to admire it in my home for 2 weeks. I don't know. It's crazy though, plant foldies. And as I continue to make these plant shopping videos, you're gonna hear me talk more so as if it was like a podcast. I really just want to give you my plant insights. Some people have mentioned in the comment section and have even sent me some direct messages about how sometimes you could feel lonely, and by just putting on my videos and listening to me talk while you do your plant chores, there is a sense of having somebody around. So I appreciate that. I hope I could be a vessel or some type of, my platform can be that way for you, because I want everybody to be excited about plants. Like, I am excited at the fact that I am having to look at these Aglaonemas again. Like, I have to remind myself, like this Aglaonema red cyan, for instance, $10.88, gorgeous plant. This is probably a plant I need to be taking home versus the Calatheas. But it makes me want to just make a bad decision, because sometimes everybody says, making bad decisions is actually fun. I don't know if that's really the case. I think some people get the thrill. Like, this one's for $19.88 at a Calathea, but I can get a Calathea that beautiful, but for 3 times the size for only $18.88. Or should I just get like this pothos plant that's on sale for $9.88, this pearls and jade pothos, which I know is not going to give me any trouble. It's going to be an easy plant. It's going to be a versatile plant. It's going to be a plant that it's actually going to give me more joy, more guaranteed joy, versus a Calathea for $18.88 that could potentially bring me a lot of joy if I'm able to get it to live. Or is it just going to bring me disappointment and I'm going to be out of cash? And that's another thing, plant foldies. have you found yourself spending way too much money on plants? So I thought and calculated all of the amount of plant budget I did for PlantCon, and I was a little bit flabbergasted by the amount of money I spent. But you know what? I have to just tell myself those plants are plants that I couldn't find on like at a regular big box store. So I'm okay with that. I am working hard to earn those funds. And then for those who have actually sent me some super stickers, super thanks, specifically my Plant Foldy viewer Rose, I know you were sending some monetary tips on the live premiere chats. Really appreciate it. If you do feel inclined to support me, the channel, or just want to send me a monetary super thanks during the live premiere chats, or even if you're just watching it, I think there's a $sign that does help fund some of my plant budgeting and just some of my equipment for some of my videos. So I would appreciate that. You don't have to feel like you have to do that, but I did want to put it out there. And I did want to say thank you so much to Rose. I know that you have consistently done that, and no worries, Rose, I will get you those red plants. We'll see what that looks like. But to go back to the plants, I did discover that Proven Winners had some of these like 4.5-inch planters. This one is only for $5.98, and that is the Tradescanthia Feeling Flirty. I do like the Tradescanthia Feeling Flirty. I do think that you do get a good value for it, and it is a fast growing plant. And look at how massive this Ficus elastica burgundy is. Now that one is for $29.98. Beautiful dark foliage, and with the Ficus elastica burgundy, you do need to give it a lot of light, otherwise it won't be that dark color. It will end up being more of like a jade green color or a darker green color, just depending on how much little light you give it. And then right here we have a variegated Ficus benjamina, which I ended up buying. And when you think about ficus plants, you think that these are hard to grow plants. I am surprised that mine is doing very well. It does sit right in front of a south-facing window, so it does get quite a bit of light, but I haven't seen it shed its leaves. Typically, a Ficus benjamina will shed its leaves when you first bring it into a home. Surprise, surprise, it has not, and I'm very excited that it is not. But look at that beautiful variegation on the Ficus benjamina. Ficus plants, if you hear anything ficus, just know that the common denominator is it needs quite a bit of light. So make sure that you are providing it with light. And I don't know, I'm back at this again. I'm looking at this plant. It's tempting me again. All of these Calathea rospictas. I mean, what do you think, Plant Foldies? I know that I'm just being such a brat when it comes to looking at these plants. I got $18.88, but look at all of how large it is. Like, I almost want to get the Calathea dotty, the Calathea rospicta, and then the Calathea rospicta gray form. I think I'm gonna get all three of them. I don't know, like, should I get them? I know for a fact I'm going to go ahead and get the Calathea dotty because I never see Calathea dotties that size. But then again, I also like the purple one right here, the lavender color, and then also the gray. So just panning away, I really did make that bad decision. I will buy all three Calatheas. I almost wanted to make a fourth bad decision and add the Calathea makoyana, but you know, that's just not in the budget for me. I feel like that is okay because I am getting a large foliage plant. So I don't know, Plant Foldies, maybe it's just late in the day, I'm tired and I'm making bad decisions. But if the bad decision does become a very fruitful decision in terms of just being able to grow beautiful Calathea again, we'll see. I will keep you guys updated. I will let you know when I do my plant shopping, not my plant shopping video. I do those on a daily basis. No, my houseplant tour that I have been promising since last fall. We will see that. And if you want to see a houseplant tour, leave it in the comments. We'll see if I can hurry up and get you a really nice houseplant tour of all of my plants. Somebody asked me how many plants I have. I currently have over 100 plants and it is still growing. You can see that I'm about to add 3 more to my plant collection. Not sure if it's the best decision, but it's the decision I'm going to stick with just because you know, the price is right. And that's really all that matters to me when it comes to plants is if I'm going to buy a plant, if the price is right, it can justify me actually adding it to my collection.
Why you keeping me waiting? Why you keeping me waiting?
I'm having second thoughts on whether I should get these plants, but I think at this point, after panning around, showing you guys this, you don't blame me for buying these plants. I'm buying 3 calatheas today. And you know, this is one of those, like, I didn't expect it, but that is the problem about doing daily plant shopping videos, is you never expect to find the plant, but when you do, you almost feel compelled to purchase it. There were some plants that I regret not purchasing. So now I'm at the point where if I feel like I need to get the plant, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And if it's a decision that wasn't the best, then, you know, it's a decision that I didn't do well with. But if you enjoyed this video, please, please, please hit the like button, plant foldies. And as always, my name is Richie at Grow Folds. Please subscribe to my channel. I am going to have a brand new video tomorrow as well. See you then. Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's off of Preston Road in Frisco, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. If you like daily 1-hour plant shopping videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel with the notification bell on. Plant foldies, and if you are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome. My name is Richie. I want to share a new adventure with you guys today. It is a beautiful day, and I am going to a lot of big box stores like Lowe's. And as you can see right over here, right off the bat, Lowe's has all of these fixtures with a bunch of Croton Petras. This one is by Nature's Way for $14.97. It is that fall season. You'll see a lot of seasonal plants that are being sold. So you'll see a lot of Croton plants. You'll see a lot of mums. You'll see a lot of that as we do some plant shopping today. I love Croton Petra. This is the more common Croton. You know, care tips for Crotons: if you're going to grow them indoors, you got to give them a lot of light and make sure that you're consistently watering them. They are best to be grown outside, and since it is a tropical plant, you want to make sure that you are providing it with more humidity if that is possible. These plants can actually grow up to be 15 to 20 feet tall. When I was in the Philippines vacationing back in August, and I let everybody know that I am Filipino American, proud to be Filipino, I was there for a good 2 weeks, and I remember seeing a bunch of Crotons just growing wildly all over. Everywhere you turn, there were just Croton plants. It's interesting that, you know, in my grow zone, which is North Dallas 8B, these plants can definitely not be planted in our landscapes because they would not be able to withstand the winters, the cold winters we have out in North Dallas. But as you can see right here, Nature's Way has a bunch of Croton plants, as well as Costa Farms. They have been releasing a bunch of that. So we're going to go ahead and walk to see if we have any new plant releases. I like to check if there's any more Costa Farms plants, Urban Jungle plants, or Live Trends plants. You can see that this is one of the Lowe's I typically visit just because they typically have a lot of new plants. Oftentimes I will find new releases, but I did want to pan over here. Isn't this funny? Look at this right here. We've got a bunch of skeletons just kind of hanging out and chilling. And so we're going to walk, and I'm going to pan around here and show you how full this Lowe's is in terms of its plants. You can see that Live Trends has a bunch of these skeleton planters with a bunch of air plants right over here. These are for $7.98, and I have to commend Live Trends plants. They have the best planters. They have the best stylish presentations for their plants, and you know, that's the reason why I love Live Trends. And they typically source out to big box stores like Lowe's. You can see that this one has a bunch of skeletons doing yoga positions, and as I pan away over here, look at how lush and full all of these houseplants are. I did want to show you that this is one of the perlite bags that I use to mix into my my soil whenever I am trying to make a chunky aeroid mix. But plant foldies, as you can see, the organization, the merchandising of the plants at this particular Lowe's is always on point. I prefer to buy plants from this particular location because they always have healthy plants, and for the most part they keep their plants stocked. If it's not restocked, at least to keep their plants organized. So I'm going to walk around here. So as you can see, we have this end cap with a bunch of Live Trends planters, as well as Urban Jungle hanging ceramic planters. We'll go into detail about that a little bit later. And you can see we've got some Phalaenopsis orchids, and it's surprisingly, these Phalaenopsis orchids are not in bloom, but they're still being sold as full price orchids. Typically big box stores will clearance them out, and you can see we've got some more hanging baskets by Urban Jungle and Live Trends. So we're going to go ahead and start seeing which plants we have. My love for pothos plants extends beyond what most people would think. You know, Epipremnum aureum or pothos plants like this Marble Queen pothos, while most people will think this is a basic plant, there is nothing basic about a plant that gives you a lot of joy, is easy to care for, is readily available, and is, very cost effective. I always recommend pothos plants. You already know pothos plants are my favorites. And when I went to PlantCon 2024 out in Dallas, I was able to see a bunch of Japanese pothos. So that's something I'm going to delve into when I go to the Texas Aeroid Show out in Houston on October 26th. So stay tuned for that. But as you can see, Plant Foldies, we've got some urban jungle ceramic planters. This one is a red marantha, or what you would call a prayer plant. Love prayer plants. I think they are awesome. And, they're not as finicky as calatheas. And you can see right here, we have another hanging basket by Urban Jungle. This one is for, I believe, $24.98 or $22.98. This one is another Marble Queen pothos, but if you notice, it's mostly green. Marble Queen pothos, the variegation is really influenced by the amount of light you give it, so make sure you are providing a lot of bright indirect light to really push out that cream variegation. And then here is a really nice silver band marantha. It's actually my favorite out of all the maranthas because it does have that silver tone. It's funny because this plant actually was really uncommon about 3 to 4 years ago, and now that it's made it to a big box store, it's more readily available. And that's the reason why I do a lot of my plant shopping videos at big box stores. Obviously, if you haven't seen my local plant nurseries, I do support local businesses, local nurseries. But as far as big box stores, it's readily accessible because not everybody lives in a city where you have a bunch of nurseries, but there's always going to be some type of big box store that provides these plants. You can see over here, Plant Foldies, we've got a bunch of African violets, and actually these African violets are in bloom. I haven't seen a lot of them in bloom at big box stores. You can see this one right here is for $5.48. African violets are actually easy to care for. I thought they would be a little bit more challenging, but as long as you don't get the leaves and the stems wet and you bottom water them and keep their soil moist, they will perform for you. I've actually had a variegated African violet rebloom for me about 4 times. It's already doubled in its size, and I'm super excited. And now as far as African violets, I do want to collect more of the variegated versions because there's just more of a leaf interest when it's not in bloom. It's the same thing with like a Phalaenopsis orchid. If it has variegation, at least on the leaves, there's a little bit more interest versus it just being a green leaf. And you can see over here, I don't know if this was really meant to be in an urban jungle ceramic planter, but this is a pretty Croton Petra, and I do like the planter. I feel like with urban jungle, they have more of like a boho type vibe with their planters and presentation. It's not really sleek or modern looking, but this is still a nice looking planter. Obviously the Croton Petra is a beautiful plant as well. I wish more people would get into crotons, and that's the reason why a lot of the times I will talk about the same plant in the hopes that I could perhaps plant influence you to certain plants. Like for instance, this one right here is a Dracaena Lime Surprise with a Phalaenopsis orchid combination. You can see that the Phalaenopsis orchid is not in bloom. Beautiful green neon color though for this Dracaena, and with this Dracaena, it's very easy to care for. It has a compact growth, and it's one that I would still recommend a lot of people adding to their plant collections. I know a lot of us who may grow plants indoors are looking more so for the rare aeroids, the philodendrons, that sort of thing, but Dracaenas, don't sleep on them because they're so easy to take care of. They're a great beginner plant, and the reason why they are great beginner plants is because they are low light tolerant and they're drought tolerant, and for the most part they're pests not as prone to pests, maybe mealy bugs, maybe some spider mites, but that's really if you're not neglecting the plant. You can see right over here, we've got some Live Trend hydroponic planters, $18.98. Now, I do think that it is a little bit pricey for a Dracaena White Jewel. It's basically a propagation because you can see that there are some roots in water. Whenever you're growing plants in hydroponics, just straight water, you have to be really cautious about the plant nutrients you give the plant. Like the plant would not be able to live sustainably with with just water. So you have to mix up plants. What I figured out is whenever I'm growing plants in like semi-hydroponics, like in pond or leca or in straight water, I use the Fox Farm fertilizers. They have done amazing in terms of just being able to give the plants the nutrients that they need. Plant foldies, you can see right over here, this is a Sansevieria Samurai, nice looking Sansevieria. And then you can see that Live Trends has all of these cool looking face sculptures for these Haworthias, and Haworthias are a unique succulent because they are a little bit more low light tolerant. Whenever you think of like succulents or cacti, for instance, they definitely need a lot of light. Some of them need to have like bright light, full sun, but Haworthias have a little bit more tolerance in being able to survive in lower light conditions, which makes them even easier to grow as a houseplant. Now, plant foldies, you already know, if you go to a big box store, you're going to see a bunch of Costa Farms Exotic Angel starter planters. These are the 3.5-inch planters. Notice that we have a Croton right over here, and all of the Exotic Angel planters by Costa Farms, at least at Lowe's, are typically priced at $5.98. You can see right over here we have a Syngonium berry illusion. I like that has that pink or red veining on it, and even the light pastel green color. It's beautiful. I love Syngoniums. Syngoniums are considered basic common plants. They are really easy to grow because they're very vigorous in their growth. There's some varieties that are a little bit slower than others, but for the most part, Syngoniums are easy. And you can see right here we've got a Hydra Helix, or what you call a Hedera Helix curly locks ivy. Now this is another type of English ivy, and for those who don't know, or maybe I might have frightened you when I said Hydra Helix, that is a running joke by the plant foldy community, because for the longest time, yes, I was mispronouncing Hedera Helix as Hydra Helix, but my viewers and subscribers, you guys want to continue to listen to me say Hydra Helix, like this Hydra Helix little Herman ivy. I like the structure of the leaves. They're a little bit more narrow. They're a little bit more miniature in its leaf shape and size, and I love English ivy. It's just a very challenging plant to grow indoors. You can ask any plant YouTuber or anybody that has tried to grow English ivies indoors. They are spider mite prone, and I don't want to discourage people from growing English ivy. The fact of the matter is they just tend to be better plants that are grown outside. Same thing with the Croton right here. This is a Croton mame. Love that the leaves are almost black and just really fiery looking. Croton plants are another plant that it's just really better for them to be grown outdoors. There's just certain plants that we want to try to grow as houseplants or indoor plants, but they tend to just do better outdoors in a shaded area versus trying to keep them indoors, unless you can provide higher humidity, bright indirect light, and just staying on top of the watering as well. So if you're willing to invest in all of that plant care, I'm pretty sure you can grow any plant indoors. Some plants are a little bit more suitable for indoor indoor gardening, if you want to put it that way. And then also I wanted to go highlight this. So at Lowe's, I love the fact that they have what they call the wick and grow planter. So basically Lowe's has a bunch of Costa Farms Exotic Angel plants that have little wicks at the very bottom of their plants. You can actually stick that in a self-watering planter where it becomes self-watering. The wick actually takes the water up to the soil, which actually helps a lot of people get out of the guessing game of whether they need to water the plant or not, because the plant is constantly taking up moisture and water. Now this is another Schefflera I really love. It's a little bit smaller of a Schefflera. This is a Schefflera Moondrop, and I love the look of that as well. It's really nice. As I do all of these daily plant shopping videos, you'll notice that a lot of the Costa Farm plants are pretty much typical and the same, but that makes them actually more accessible to the general public. I mean, this is that Moon Valley Pilea as well. This one is in a 5-inch planter for $7.98. I mentioned this in all of my videos, but Pilea plants, they can be easy to care for plants if you're able to stay on top of the watering. What you want to do with Pilea plants, you want to make sure that you are watering them consistently. You want to make sure that their soil doesn't dry out completely. And if you're able to provide more humidity, they're going to do better for you. And again, here is another Hydra Helix, or what you call the Hedera Helix Bettina. I've had this English ivy before. It has been sent to plant heaven. I do like the look of this particular Hedera Helix just because it has a rounder leaf shape, and even the variegation of it is really nice. I may eventually get more Hedera Helix maybe next year if I'm able to provide them better growing conditions indoors. And what I mean by that, like for instance, this mini ivy, mini Adam ivy, I love how it has smaller leaves, has good variegation. I'm thinking if I grow Hedera Helix, they would need to grow next to a humidifier and a grow light. I really feel like that is going to repel a lot of these spider mite situations that they tend to invite when they're brought indoors. Now, if you're going to grow an English ivy outdoors in like a shaded area, they typically do very well. Something about being outdoors, growing outdoors for certain plants, they just do better. So that's what I'm going to try to do. And then as far as like an easy to care for plant, peace lilies, or what you call spathiphyllum, this one is for $7.98. Now with peace lilies, what I like about spathiphyllum is not only are they low light tolerant, they can get into very massive sizes. I love the large leaves that they eventually get as they grow older. And then you can see over here, we've got another Syngonium Maria. Syngonium Maria, a classic Syngonium. It is a dark foliage Syngonium. It's one that I definitely would recommend for anybody who wants to collect Syngoniums. Syngoniums are always going to be my #1 plant, or at least my first love. It is the one family of genus plants that I always gravitate to. I've always wanted to collect, and for the longest time I actually was collecting a lot of the more rare and uncommon ones, which actually cost me a pretty penny. So it's nice to see that Costa Farms will be able to provide more of these Syngoniums, even if they are considered basic plants, even if you find them often at a big box, or like the Syngonium Berry Illusion. What I do like about the Syngonium Berry Illusion, and this one is for $5.98, is as it gets a little bit older and larger, the leaves start to really get a nice big size. And then we have also looked at the purple waffle plant. I mean, this is a quintessential Costa Farms exotic angel plant. Now with waffle plants, any type of waffle plants, whether it's the purple waffle plant, snow white waffle plant, or the Belgian waffle plant, you want to make sure their soil doesn't dry out completely, and if you can give them even more humidity, they're going to do well for you. And then Dracaena Dorado right over here, this is for $7.98. And with this particular Dracaena, this Dracaena doesn't grow as compact as some of the other Dracaenas like Dracaena warneckii, but they do get a nice large size. Really like the look of that. And then we also have a gorgeous snow white waffle plant, and of all the waffle plants, I love the snow white waffle plant because you can see the beautiful variegation it has. It's got purple, it's got lavender, it's got pink, it's got purple undertones. It's just such a beautiful, colorful plant. It definitely will give you a pop of color, and especially if you are a fan of purple or pink plants, that is definitely a plant you could add to your collection. Just with more caution though, you just need to make sure, again, plant foldies, that you are staying on top of the watering conditions. And then over here is a 6-inch hanging basket by Costa Farms. This is a Syngonium. This is a Syngonium white butterfly. It almost looks like a Syngonium holly, but this is a Syngonium white butterfly. Beautiful light foliage, and you can see it is nice and full. There's just slight cosmetic damage, but this 6-inch hanging basket by Costa Farms is for $16.98. Again, this is another plant that I would recommend for anybody who wants to grow a fast growing, easy to care for house plant. With this channel, I love to just make suggestions for plants that you could add into your indoor space where it's not going to give you a lot of stress, but more so it's going to give you more joy, because if you're able to get a plant to grow in your care, be able to see the new growth, be able to see it thrive and even get larger, I think that is super satisfying. Oftentimes we'll inundate a lot of our plant collections with so many plants, and then we're not able to actually slow down, practice mindfulness, and just enjoy the plant for what it is. Now over here is a strawberry begonia, again in a 6.5-inch hanging basket by Costa Farms. This one is for $16.98, and I do like the strawberry begonia. You can see that it has a bunch of little babies that you can chop off the mother plant, stick it on top of a soil surface, and be able to propagate it. Look at the beautiful foliage of these leaves. Now I ended up buying myself a variegated version of the strawberry begonia, but even just the non-variegated form looks lovely. I love how the new leaves actually unfurl, and before it hardens, it's like a dark purple tone. And I just love the fact that this plant is easy to multiply and propagate. I love plants that you can easily propagate. So plant foldies, I'm actually curious, do you enjoy the process of propagating plants? Do you find yourself actually multiplying a lot of your house plants through plant propagation? I know that we have talked about possibly making a plant swap community where we can share cuttings, plant propagations. Leave it in the comments if we really want to see a Grow Folds Plant Foldy community created soon. I have yet to download the Facebook app. I have yet to create a Facebook account because I don't have one, but I definitely want to do that when I have time to really set it up to where I have, a lot of links, a lot of other features for the Facebook page. I just don't want to open a Facebook page and then there's really nothing on it. So I want to make sure there's enough content before I really release one. But plant foldies, have no fear. We are going to have one, and it'll be more fun in terms of just us being able to interact outside of the live premiere chats. I know the majority of you guys will spend your time on a nightly basis, and I tell you, super appreciate it, plant foldies, for those that continue to invest your time to watch my videos, to interact in the chats, to say hello, to comment, to like, to share, all of that. I can't thank you guys enough, and I will always say that in every single video that I create, even moving forward. So I hope you guys don't get tired of me just really expressing my gratitude. I think that this plant journey wouldn't have been possible had I not gotten all of that engagement from y'all. And that's the reason why, yes, I might be at Lowe's. Yes, you might have seen that teddy bear vine from the previous video, the preview before that, the video last week, but it's just fun picking up these plants and just giving you guys these plant insights. And for teddy bear vine plant, it is a beautiful plant. I've noticed that it has a lot of different layers of interest, foliage, like the velvety textures, the purple underside, but I don't know long term if it's a plant I could grow. Now, this is one of my favorite syngoniums. So this is a Syngonium Berry Illusion. If you haven't seen my grandmother's plant home tour video where I interview her after going big box store plant shopping at Home Depot, definitely check that out, because this Syngonium has become one of my favorite Syngoniums. Because if you look at the leaf shape, it's got a rounder leaf shape, it's got a larger leaf shape, it's got a beautiful pink veining on it, and all of those nuances in the this particular Syngonium, while it might be a common one, is one that I would gravitate to. I really like the shape of it. The rounder shaped leaves really interest me, and I think that's the reason why I like Manjula pothos, because it has a rounder, larger, more robust look about the leaf shape. And whenever you look at certain plants, like for instance this Calathea right here by Urban Jungle, now this one is for $13.98. Beautiful Calathea, and I have very mixed thoughts about Calatheas. Like you can see here, there is a little bit of damage on the leaf. It looks like it's not as happy. These are probably the biggest divas in terms of what plant care that you need to get. Calatheas definitely need to not ever really dry out completely. You want to make sure you're staying on top of the watering. If you are able to grow them successfully, though, they will reward you with such beautiful foliage. And for me, plants that have that beautiful foliage, sometimes there's a double-edged sword where you have to work to really keep them alive. Although this Peperomia ginny right over here, look at the beautiful foliage, the colors on it. That one is a little bit easier to grow in terms of just houseplant care. It is a little bit more drought tolerant. It does need bright and direct light, so you want to make sure that you're providing it with that. And then I always like to look at Monstera deliciosas, but just the juvenile form. So if you notice, Monstera deliciosa has a larger heart-shaped leaf. I really wish that sometimes Monstera deliciosa would remain juvenile in its juvenile form, where it doesn't really fenestrate. I love the heart-shaped leaves. Now that one is by Urban Jungle. That one is for $22.98, and you can see there are a lot of like 6-inch containers of Urban Jungle plants. This one is a philodendron lemon lime. This one has a little bit of cosmetic damage. I would think that they would go ahead and just clearance that out. Beautiful neon colored plant, and it is another plant I would recommend. And so plant foldies, I did want to take a little bit of time to go outside and really look at all of the fall decor. Fall is just around the corner. We're about to reach the first week of October. It is spooky season, it is Halloween season, and the next thing you know, it's Thanksgiving. But all of the big box stores I'm seeing, local plant nurseries, everywhere you go, grocery stores have a lot of the fall vibe. So we've got a bunch of pumpkins, we've got a bunch of different interesting gorbs, gourds, and then what else? We have a bunch of croton petras. You know, for some reason, croton petras or crotons in general are associated with the fall season. Same thing with chrysanthemums, or what you call mums. They are also in high demand this season. You know, for crotons and mums, for me, I don't know. It's just, for me, it's just really interesting that crotons are considered like a fall annual versus my home country, where literally crotons will grow year round in the ground, in the landscape, and become full-blown trees. I do want to grow crotons a little bit long term. So if I am going to buy a croton, I did find a croton mame at a grocery store for only $18. So you already know, plant foldies, when it comes to plant shopping, I like to look at the best plant pricing. I like to look at ways to save money with plants. Even with the plant products I use, I really try to like pay attention to how much money I'm spending on it. And you know, I don't really have a set plant budget per month. I probably should, and then if I did have a set plant budget, I'm pretty sure I'm already overspending my plant budget. But I mean, even looking at these succulents and cactus, like I would be tempted to purchase some of these cactus and succulents. Now, I am not really a fan of any of the painted succulents and cactus. Like this one right here is really not going to be something I'd be interested in. I honestly think that painting succulents or cactus would be a little bit more harmful to the plant, because that layer of paint is actually preventing the plant from getting sunlight or light to photosynthesize. But it's an interesting concept, but it is a living, you know, creature, a living thing. So I would just feel like, you know, coating it with some paint is not always the best thing for that. But you know, that's just my opinion. If you're into that, you know, more power to you. If they bring you joy, then, you know, go ahead and select all of those painted cactus and succulents. They're just not necessarily for me. I kind of want your thoughts, though, plant foldies, about painted succulents and cactus, if you're into it. And also let me know in the comment section what you think about the pumpkins and the gourds. I think they're super cool. And what you think about croton plants. Like, I really want to know, plant foldies, and I hope you can slow down, take the time to really think about what you like about crotons, what you dislike about crotons, or why you think crotons are a fall plant. I really do want to see you guys leave some comments for me. That would bring me so much joy, because I just want to see your insights. And that's what really excites me about these plant shopping videos, is just your insights. Now, variegated string of hearts, this one's for $7.98. It is a little bit of shame that these variegated string of hearts are not in the best health. They just need a good soak of water. And what's interesting about variegated string of hearts, or string of hearts in general, is for a succulent type of plant, it is a pretty fast grower, and it's a pretty easy grower. So I'm just surprised that it's that dehydrated. So you can tell that that particular variegated string of hearts pot just hasn't been watered at all. And that's unfortunate, because succulents, when it comes down to at least the easy care part, they don't have to be watered as often. So I'm pretty sure that if we ended up watering those variegated string of hearts, they would perk up a little bit and they should be good to go. Now you can see we have a bunch of pumpkins, we have a bunch of chrysanthemums, or mums as you call it, as well as majesty palms by Costa Farms. And it's just amazing how Costa Farms is able to produce so many different types of plants. You know, I was watching a YouTube of Costa Farms and how they produce like trending tropical plants. I didn't realize it takes a minimum of about 2 to 3 years for them to really create a stock. So I'm just curious to see what new releases Costa Farms is going to have. I did see that they released a couple of Syngonium albos, so I am still in the hunt for that. That's the reason why I have been going to Lowe's, because there have been posts where people have found that. I just want to be lucky, because I want more Syngonium albos. And if you guys are curious about the plant products I do use this all-purpose plant fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. It's a gentle fertilizer, and I truthfully use a half dose of what it asks for to water my plants, and I pretty much water them on a daily basis, especially my pothos plants. And then if you look over here, so if you don't want to make the DIY neem oil spray, which I call the foldy mist, you can buy something like neem oil spray like this. I do recommend neem oil spray for anybody who doesn't want any harsh chemicals. I believe that neem oil actually helps prevent plant pests. I spray my my spider my spider mite prone plants. Like, I recently added a specific plant, which you will see in another video this weekend, where I already know that I probably shouldn't have added it to my collection, but I still wanted to do that. So we're gonna see if the plant preventative tips I give you guys will actually help keep this plant from actually getting any plant pests. So we're gonna see if that works. But anyways, what else do we have here as far as plant products? Now, I love to root plants and propagate plants, and this is actually one that I use. I take this Take Root Garden Safe rooting hormone for cuttings. I do think that even using that to just do root propagation straight into soil would really help out. I do want to gift my grandmother rooting hormone, although I don't even feel like she needs it, because if you saw her video where she literally propagated a bunch of black begonia, angel wing begonias, by just sticking them in the soil, she probably doesn't need that product. Super Thrive, though, that B vitamin is a must for plants. I do feel like whenever you repot plants or you transpot plants, or if you're putting newly propagated water roots into soil, use Super Thrive. I think it's a really good plant product to use. It is also pretty cost effective. And then I did want to pan over here and just keep showing you all of the seasonal plants here. You can see there are a bunch of Croton petras, and I can see why crotons are considered a fall type, like patio plant, something for the fall season, because it does have all of those oranges and yellow colors. But if you think about the source of where that plant came from, it is a tropical plant, and tropical countries don't really have like a fall season. So very interesting concept. But needless to say, in the western part of the world, the United States, for instance, we have fall season. Like you can see here, Asiatic jasmine. I think this is an Asiatic jasmine, but I want to get this because I actually find this arrangement, this patio arrangement by Nature's Way, actually really cool. Because look at that. It has oranges. It's got some pastel yellows. It's got greens right next to the Croton petra. Like, that actually works well for me. And then there's also a Dracaena marginata also in the planter. So I think that, but I do wish I could just get a hold of that orange variegation for that Asiatic jasmine. I'm assuming it's an Asiatic jasmine, so leave in the comments if that is the correct plant ID. But you can see over here, plant foldies, we've got a bunch of Croton planters. We also have some mixed planters with mums. I love that Nature's Way is providing a bunch of these plants. Normally Nature's Way provides plants to Home Depot. Interesting that they have planters as well at Lowe's. So, when you think about the big three big box stores that actually carry plants, it would be Walmart, Home Depot, and Lowe's. And you already know plant foldies. If you've been watching my videos for the last 10 months, I'm literally in a big box store almost every day filming that daily 1-hour plant shopping video. Although my videos have become a little bit longer. I don't know. I think I'm just actually spending more time just filming and admiring the plants. For me, whenever I'm actually filming plants, like looking at this Epipremnum aureum golden pothos, for instance, $19.98, I find myself just getting lost and really practicing mindfulness, where I am just like admiring the blooms of this mum, for instance, or looking at the colors of the leaves, the structure of the plant, and that really helps de-stress me. And I have been given feedback that some of you guys watch my plant shopping videos right after work to just kind of relax and de-stress, and I really appreciate that I've been able to utilize my platform to give you guys plant content that can help de-stress you. The community in general, the plant folding community, for those that really stick around, it's a positive community. Feel free to share your wins, things that you are going through on the live premiere chat. There is a really strong support system. I've seen a lot of people share a lot of things about their life, and that's what makes this community continue to grow. That's what makes this community really special. And for those that are just new and discovering the YouTube channel that is known as Grow Folks, me, welcome again to the channel. As you can see, I will talk your ear off for at least an hour. Like I said in all of my other videos, I utilize a lot of my plant shopping videos. It's almost like a personal blog. I utilize it more so to have that open dialogue where maybe you could actually like pretend that I'm actually hanging out with you. We're walking through a big box store and I'm literally talking your ear off. But as you can see here, plant foldies, I'm gonna just you know, have you guys admire some of these mums. Let me know what mums you like, if you actually grow them for the season. I love them as well, and I'd love to hear your comments about that. And you can see plant foldies. We've walked through and look at that neon foliage. All of these are potato vines. Love that. Very vigorous plant. And it's nice to see that they finally got oxalis or purple shamrock in stock. This is for $6.98. And what's really cool about it is you can actually grow these in my grow zone, which is 8B North Dallas, as a plant that is a perennial. So you can put this in your landscape. I remember seeing somebody have that as ground cover, and that was super cool. So what I like about this plant, and you can see the contrast between the neon green and the purple, absolutely stunning. This plant is interesting because it does follow where the light is. It actually dances around, and you know, there was a YouTuber by the name of Sydney Plant Guy who has a really nice oxalis plant. So this plant can actually be grown as a garden plant or as an indoor plant, depending on your growing conditions indoor. I would say if it's indoors, you do want to provide it with a little bit more light, and you want to make sure that the temperature it's in isn't too cold, because that oxalis or shamrock plant may end up going dormant. So just keep an eye on that. And then this Alternatera, what I like about this plant, it's more of like a shrub-like, bush-like plant, is the neon green foliage. Now this one would require a lot of light. Any type of neon colored plant or yellow plant, the more light you give it, the more intense that yellow or neon green color is going to look. And when you put it right next to a purple potato vine, this is just stunning as well. And that's what I love about you know, plant combinations and different types of colors. And I'm just going to keep walking outside in this garden, outdoor garden section. We're going to go back inside to look at some of more of the plant finds I would find, but I did want to just stroll around here and show you what else they have. You can see that Miracle Grow all-purpose fertilizer plant food is what I use. And then you can see over here, plant foldies, we've got some more landscape tropical plants, bougainvilleas. I love bougainvilleas, but bougainvilleas do not love my grow zone in terms of just being a plant that you can grow in the landscape. Like if you're going to grow a bougainvillea in North Texas, you're probably going to have to put that in a planter that you can take inside, take in your garage, take in a greenhouse over the winter. Otherwise, your bougainvillea is not going to survive. And I was actually looking at all of these desert rose, and why I'm looking at these desert rose is because if you look at the foliage, look at how compact this desert rose is. These are for $29.97. So Home Depot has this, but I'm even thinking of like purchasing this one because of the compact growth and actually converting it in a more shallow bonsai pot. I do have 2 desert rose that I am currently propagating from cuttings. I also got a variegated desert rose that was gifted to me by my friend Tanya of Green Acres Nursery and Supply, that was out in Irving, Texas. But as far as a desert rose, $29.98 is not a bad price at all, considering they have already really thick cauduxes, or what you call trunks. And I'm just looking through here. What do you guys think, plant foldies? Should I buy a desert rose? I know that these are plants that definitely require full sun. They need fast draining soil. So what I would do is actually repot these in a bonsai soil mix that I can buy from Amazon called the Bonsai Supply. And, you know, obviously I would have to take this inside or indoors in the winter because my desert rose would not do well in colder conditions. But I have seen some really good you know, examples of desert rose. It is a beautiful plant. It is a toxic plant though, so if you get some of the sap on your hands, that is not always a good idea because it will give you some skin irritation. You definitely don't want to ingest any part of the plant. And then here is another sea of Croton petras. I do like it when crotons are a little bit more yellow in the tone or more black, so I like that. And I've seen a Croton petra become a full-blown tree, and it is absolutely stunning. And even even like the blooms of the Croton Petra are so pretty as well. You can see that if you are looking for crotons, the best time to buy them is in the fall because they are readily available. So there is definitely a big supply for them. So let me know in the comments, plant foldies, if you've actually grown crotons indoors. I'm really curious because every time I've attempted to grow up a croton indoors, it just hasn't done well for me. And so I'm just curious if anybody's had some really good success for it. I know that some of you plant foldies have sent me some pictures of your plants on Instagram. I welcome them. Please send me a direct message. I pretty much respond to everybody. I've said this multiple times in all my videos, but the engagement portion of this YouTube channel is what really drives me to continue to make this content. So for those that choose to engage with me and chat with me and talk with me and share your plant passion, I welcome it. Let's continue to do that. But plant foldies, we are going to go back into the indoor tropical section. So you can see right here, what I also love about Live Trends design is you can see that they always send a little shipper with a bunch of their new planters. And we're going to just take a look at some of these plants. These are called the Inspiring Lifestyle plants. You can see over here, we've got a really delicate looking fern. But what I love, and I say love about Live Trends plants, is take a look at this planter. The planters of Live Trends are all of the planters I would add into my collection. I love that modern contemporary planter. Just the look of it is very sleek. It's very modern. It's very simplistic. It's very minimalistic. And I really prefer that versus a lot of textures, a lot of flamboyant colors. I like to have the planters be more of an accessory versus taking distraction from the plant. Now, it could be a little bit different. Some people really like flamboyant planters or colorful planters, but for me, I like the classic look like this. And I don't even mind that this particular planter is a little bit more glossy. I typically like more matte finishes, but just the shape of the planter is really nice. You can see that that is a very small ponytail palm. And for those that don't know, ponytail palms are actually not palms. They are a succulent. And then you can see here, this is another, I'm just going to start calling these propagation stations. Take a look at this one for $14.98. Look at that nice modern look for a propagation station. I would actually buy it just because of the look. I know that some of the other propagation stations I've seen from Live Trends tends to be a little bit more pricey, like the $18 range is a little bit much. But if you want a Dracaena Sandriana, or what you call the Lucky Bamboo, you can get it for $14.98. I even like the caramel brown tone on this particular planter. Really nice looking one. And what else do we have here? We've got more planters and more, propagation stations, but I am just going to keep showing you this. And then they have that light gray tone about it. So all three tones, the black, the brown, and the light gray. I think it's got a nice sleek vibe about it, and I love it a lot. Definitely love it. Definitely kudos to Live Trends. I would definitely love collecting their plants. And you can see even here, this bird's nest fern, the neon version, beautiful plant. And I am always out to collect any neon colored plants. This one, actually, I don't have a bird's nest fern yet. I need to get one, and if I were to get one, I definitely would buy this neon colored one. I think it's got a nice touch to it, and bird's nest ferns, from what I've been told, are actually easier to take care of versus the regular ferns that we would see. And then obviously Live Trends and even Urban Jungle have really cool alocasia. So this one is an Alocasia Milo Light in a nice green planter. Really like that a lot. And my only critique, and this is really my only critique, is I just wish that Live Trends would stop using the fake moss as a top dressing for the plant. And the reason why I say that is I feel like it is too artificial looking. I think that the fake moss, whenever you water it, holds too much moisture, which could actually keep the surface of the soil too wet, which could actually result into root rot. So I just feel like if they're gonna do a top dressing or something to be on top of the soil substrate, I would utilize either like very small orchid bark, or utilize, some type of pebble or stone, versus just the fake moss. And then you can see right here another calathea. And, I vowed that I would never buy calatheas, but they are such tempting plants. Like literally, look at how beautiful and perfect the leaves are. And that's the thing, you always see a calathea looking its best when it's in the store, but if you give it 2 weeks and you don't give it the right care conditions, it just ends up wanting to go to plant heaven. But I don't know, I struggle with certain plants. Like this plant you'll never struggle with. I tell this to everybody. $14.98. Buy yourself a Dracaena Janet Craig compacta. Everybody, please buy yourself a Janet Craig compacta. Super easy to take care of plant. It's a green plant. If you just want a quote basic plant, this is the one that's going to bring you a lot of joy. But to go back to like calatheas and Hydra Helix, those types of plants, there is a certain draw that I want to grow those plants, but every time I buy one, they always break my heart. And I do ask this question, plant foldies, for those watching. Please leave in the comments what plants you struggle with, but you continue to buy because you just like the plant. I just kind of want to know, a general consensus if we actually agree with calatheas and English ivies. Now, we all need to agree that pothos plants, Epipremnum aureum, are plants that we all need to have in our plant collection. And here's why. For instance, this Marble Queen pothos for $14.98 in a ceramic urban jungle planter, very easy to care for plant. There's just so many different varieties of pothos plants. And after going to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, I was able to see some of the more rare and uncommon new varieties of Japanese pothos. But the classics of a Marble Queen pothos, for instance, you can't go wrong with a Marble Queen pothos in a plant collection. And what's cool is they are versatile in how you can grow them. You can grow them in a hanging basket where you allow them to trail, or you can grow them their natural way, which is to actually have them grow up a totem pole, a moss pole, a full-blown tree. And you can see that, say, this neon pothos plant, it will actually get very large leaves up to like 3 to 4 feet in width if you allow it to grow up a pole. Pothos plants are also cost-effective plants, meaning if you want an easy to care for house plant that you can find pretty much everywhere, buy a pothos plant. Even for those that collect very rare and exotic aroids and philodendrons that could cost hundreds of dollars, I still think you should add a pothos plant. Now, this philodendron brantianum is a little bit more of a finicky plant, but I still grow it because I love the silver foliage. But the Epipremnum aureum golden pothos, for instance, that is a classic indoor house plant that a lot of people end up starting their plant journey because they were either gifted a golden pothos or that was like the first plant that they ever bought at a big box store. And that's another plant that's classic. And you know what's cool is if you're ever gonna go take cuttings from a plant that you want to propagate in water, did you know that if you actually put some rooted cuttings of pothos in the water, something about the hormones that the rooted cuttings of pothos releases actually encourages the plant cutting that you may have trouble rooting in water to actually root. I've done it with a philodendron Florida Beauty where literally it was sitting in water for about like a month and a half, and there were no roots. But then as soon as I put pothos plants in, pothos cuttings in the water with my my cutting of the Florida Beauty, it started to root within like a week. So there are so many benefits of having a pothos plant. And like this one right here, this is an enjoy, actually not, well, I almost made a mistake. This is not an enjoy pothos. This is an Epipremnum aureum pearls and jade pothos. So you can see that I can even mislabel this plant. The reason why this is a pearls and jade pothos and not an enjoy pothos is because it has speckling on the leaves, and then like the variegation is not nearly as high contrast. The enjoy pothos usually has like a dark green tone about it and like a very stark white variegation versus the pearls and jade where it has like tones of silver speckling on the leaves. Either way, it's a beautiful plant. And then you can see Live Trends has a bunch of terrarium type settings. That one has some Sansevieria. We've got some Pachira aquatica stump. So I actually like the stump look better, and this is for $18.98 again by Live Trends. You can see that it's a beautiful plant. I actually prefer the stump versus the braided or twisted money tree or Pachira aquaticas. There is, the Pachira aquatica, the variegated form though, is one of my wish list plants. Unfortunately, in this side of the world, it's super expensive. Like I even saw one at one of my favorite plant shops called Peta's Planters. They were selling it for $164, which I still think is actually not a bad price considering a variegated Pachira aquatica sells for more than that. But when I went to the Philippines for vacation last August, I saw full-blown 3 to 4 feet variegated Pachira aquaticas in containers on the side of the road near a cafe for a restaurant, and nobody was paying attention to it. So very interesting how certain plants, the value of their plants are a lot more expensive, especially when it is not endemic or it's not easily grown in the natural climate. And I think that a lot of these tropical plants, we see that Costa Farms, Urban Jungle, or Live Trends tends to like source out to big box stores. We just have to work a little bit harder. Like, if you follow my videos that I will be premiering this weekend, you will see that I made some exceptions about certain plants that I said I would never purchase because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to grow them. But now that I've been able to really get some more organization in my plant room, I've been able to get my routines in terms of watering my plants, inspecting my plants, still being able to balance making 1 hour plant shopping videos for big box stores daily. I'm willing to take that, that slight risk. I'm willing to create that challenge to be able to grow plants. I know as a plant lover, I'm pretty sure you also find yourself where you're at, plant shopping, and then you find a plant that you have either sent to plant heaven multiple times, or you sent a plant where you already know it's going to be a uphill battle to keep it alive, but it's such a beautiful plant that you end up doing it. That kind of is the predicament I'm in with my plant journey. But you can see here, all of the plants though that I'm picking up are a combination of Live Trends planters or Urban Jungle planters. You can see this one is a Peperomia obtusifolia. Love the Peperomia obtusifolia. I feel like it's another easy to care for plant. It is a plant that is common or considered common. It's another plant that I feel like people kind of overlook. And then I'm just going to keep panning over here and showing you all of the beautiful plants that they have at this Lowe's. And over here, we are now seeing a bunch of these little cute study buddies with a bunch of these succulents by Costa Farms. Now, they released that not too long ago, and you can see it's sold down and for $9.97. So I've been looking at these beautiful containers. Love the look of this particular planter by Costa Farms. Now, these are 5-inch planters with a nice terracotta finish. This one is a Croton Mame, and then you can see this one is a Croton Bush on Fire, and you can see the speckling of the leaves. I do think that people either love crotons or you don't like crotons. I love crotons, and I hope that plant foldies, you guys will also consider crotons because they are a beautiful plant. I think I have more I guess I'm more interested in crotons because they do remind me of my home country, the Philippines. They are just a staple there. And you can see right here, this is another Hedera helix, or what you call a Hedera helix English ivy. This one doesn't have a cultivar name, but look at how the leaves are a lot more narrow. And that's such a cool thing about English ivies, that they have so many different varieties. And then right here we have a Dracaena white jewel, another plant that I really think that everybody should add in their plant collection. I do love that it has like a gray planter, or the finish on that planter. It's a really nice one for $9.97 alongside with this Dracaena Limelight. And I love that navy blue color for the planter. That is more of a modern look for actual color, and I actually have cabinets that are that color in my plant room as well that I'm gonna eventually add. I do have some storage there, but I want to have like a little cabinet where I can put some plants in. I did get a bunch of grow lights to add, so like I said again, plant foldies, I am super excited to get my house plant tour to show you my home, to show you my plants, and really just kind of celebrate the culmination of all my hard work to try to put together some of the plants. I have been talking about my love per plant. Now I want to show you some of my personal collection, so stay tuned for that. If you do want to see my personal plant collection, keep commenting that you want to see a house plant tour. I know I've been talking about doing a house plant tour since last fall. For those that are very much loyal grow folds, plant foldies that have been following me since the beginning, I will have that available for you. I am disappointed though, plant foldies, that I wasn't able to actually go to the International Aeroid Show out in Miami. This work would not allow me to take time off, and that's the thing. If I could do plant YouTube full time, I would totally do it. But you know, this is kind of just like my side gig. It's really more of a hobby. But as far as being able to take off work, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. And that's the reason why I wouldn't be able to get you guys a lot of the plant content that I intended to get. There was some really cool looking monsteras, for instance, that I feel like I missed out on. But hopefully I will be able to make that up to you guys, plant foldies. If you stick around, I will get you so many hours of the Texas Aeroid Show on October 26th out in Houston, Texas. And then next weekend at North Haven Gardens, Fitzgerald Tropicals is going to be doing a pop-up, but there is also going to be a huge plant vendor swap. So I will be filming that of the local plant plant community out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Here is a gorgeous trending tropical plant, the Xanthosoma. So look at how electrifying the leaves are. I just love the veining of the leaves. I think it's absolutely stunning. It is another plant that I feel like we all should really add to our collection, including myself. Like, I feel like I need to add that to my collection, and we'll see what else I can do in terms of getting more of that plant. Here is another plant that I like to show in all of my plant shopping videos at Aglaonema Silver Bay, alongside the Ficus lyrata right here, or the fiddle fig leaf tree. That is for $24.98. And my fiddle fig leaf trees have actually been doing very well. They say that it is a finicky plant. My goal is to hopefully someday be able to grow them into a massive specimen, but that would require me really giving them higher humidity and lots of light to really give them that tropical climate that they are used to. And you can see right over here, I'm panning around, and you can see there are a bunch of exotic angel plants by Costa Farms. We've got the 5-inch and the 3-inch planters. So the 3-inch planters are for $5.98, and then the 5-inch ones are for $7.98 at Lowe's. You can see that we have a Fittonia right here. I show this in all of my videos, but look at the pink veining of the Fittonia. That is another plant that has really tempted me to want to purchase, but I already know that I wouldn't be able to keep up with the watering. So that's a plant that I always put back, but I don't mind like admiring it. And then here is another plant that I would say, Philodendron heteroecium Brazil. This is a plant that I could have multiples of. There are certain plants that I could have multiples of in my plant collection, and Philodendron heteroecium is definitely one of them. Any type of Epipremnum aureum or pothos plant is another type of plant I would add, as well as Syngoniums and Aglaonema. So those, as you can tell, are probably my favorite types of plants. And then I don't actually own one of these. This is a Platycerium, or what you call a staghorn fern. This is a Dutch staghorn fern in an 8-inch planter by Costa Farms. Now this is for $19.84. I do like staghorn ferns. I don't really know a lot about the plant care tips, although I feel like they could become very much stylish, modern plants that I could display on like a wooden plank, something of that nature. Even a kokedama look would be really good, but Costa Farms tends to have that in an 8-inch hanging basket. And then here is another 8-inch hanging basket of Epipremnum aureum neon pothos. And again, this is another plant. Look at how stunning, how gorgeous, how electrifying, how beautiful, all of the positive adjectives you can give a plant. This neon pothos has it. And sometimes I even want to say that the neon pothos is my favorite pothos. But then again, when I start looking at other pothos, it's just really tough to really choose which is my favorite one, but they are all gorgeous. And then over here is another plant that I am debating on whether to add to my collection. And this is what you call a Polynesian ivy. I do think that this plant would be easy to propagate. It just has that look where you can take cuttings, put it in water, and then easily root. You know, that's a lot of times why I am gravitated to a certain plant genus, is because the potential of being able to propagate, multiply plants. They are definitely fun to share, as Costa Farms would mention in some of their plant care. You know, that's something that I also look for, is the plant being able to be propagated easily. Now, Dieffenbachia, it is another hard to grow plant indoors, but for $12.97 in a 6-inch planter, that is not a bad price. And Dieffenbachia can grow very large as well, and you will see what I'm talking about when I debut or premiere some of my new videos this weekend. When I go plant shopping, you will be surprised about what I end up picking up. Really, it was unexpected. But anyways, looking at all of the plants here, looks like they just watered these plants out in this area, and that's cool because I like to see big box stores like Lowe's take care of their plants. You can see that there are people who actually water these plants. Sometimes they get rid of dead leaves. I remember there's a particular Lowe's, one of my favorite ones, off in Allen, Texas. It is off of McDermott Road if you live out in the North Dallas area, where they have employees actually cutting off dead leaves, watering the plants, and that's something that you don't always expect, nor do you see at a big box store. You got to think again, this is not, you know, a ding toward big box stores, but big box stores aren't always going to prioritize plants, but it is nice to see that. It's also nice to see this Hedera helix, or what you call the dark Pittsburgh ivy, or Hedera helix English ivy. Beautiful plant. You can see that it is in an 8-inch planter. This is a very lush and full hanging basket of English ivy. The only thing is, say you bring this into your home, say you have dry conditions, say you don't stay on top of the watering, this could easily decline and actually be infested with spider mites. So you just have to be cautious about that. And then over here, plant foldies, look at the variegation on this golden pothos. You can see that it's got some nice variegation. It's pretty high variegation, and this is in a self-watering planter by Costa Farms, $15.98. So, you know, with Costa Farms, you really can't go wrong with Costa Farms plants. They have so many varieties to pick from, and if you buy them at a big box store, you're going to get a pretty cost-effective price. Some people have their opinions about Costa Farms, or maybe just nurseries that really supply to big box stores. I know some people will say that takes business away from local plant shops. I would say, as somebody who buys plants, sometimes big box stores just provide plants that are a little bit more accessible than a local plant nursery. But if you were to ask me, I also think that we should, support local plant businesses, local plant nurseries, local plant online shops, because they, number one, most of them actually have more selection of plants. And while there is a little bit of a markup, you know, you can support local plant businesses. But if you're going to ask me, I like to purchase from both big box and local plant nurseries, because at the end of the day, I have to look at the plant pricing. Sometimes the plant pricing has to be right for me. And you would assume that like a place like Lowe's would have more inexpensive plant versus like a local plant shop. But I have discovered, after doing daily 1-hour plant shopping videos, and you already know this, plant foldies, that some local plant shops actually have cost-effective pricing that actually rival or do better. And I'm going to shout out Peta's Planters, for instance, where if you're looking for those like trending tropicals, philodendrons, I've seen Peta's Planters actually offer philodendrons for a lot less. And so that's the reason why I feel like these big box store plant shopping videos on a daily basis, especially if you live out in the North Dallas area, will give you a little bit more insight, will give you more options to see what plants are out there and the plant pricing. Like you can see right here, I have shown you a lot of these trending tropical plants. You saw philodendron, pink princess. Now we're looking at the Epipremnum aureum lemon meringue pothos. That is a pothos that was developed by Costa Farms. It was a sport variegation from the global green pothos, and the global green pothos was an actual mutation discovered out in Japan. If you're going to ask me though, pothos in Japan are probably the best pothos varieties that are coming out. So many different varieties, and it's so interesting because the Japanese that were actually growing pothos plants were very meticulous and really paid attention to the variegation in the characteristics of a specific mutation within the pothos. But as you can see here, plant foldies, super lush, super full, nice organization on the plants. And you already know I have to pick up the OG of Aglaonemas, and that is the Aglaonema Red Siam. If you have made it this far and haven't bought an Aglaonema, please write that down on your list to buy yourself an Aglaonema Red Siam. Common plant for most people, but it is an easy to care for plant. And I love that Costa Farms has re-released a bunch of these Aglaonema pink Siams. Now, if you were following my Instagram page, I actually did a reel or a shorts video on YouTube highlighting how pink my Aglaonema pink Siam is. You can see that that is the pink version of the Red Siam, and I honestly want to rescue this one because you can see that it has lost a lot of soil. But if you look at the pink and the variegation of it, What a stunning aglaonema. I would hate for this to make it to plant heaven, more so into the compactor, because it is a healthy looking plant. It just needs to get rescued. I just don't know if I want to spend $19.84 for a plant that I already have. If it was actually on clearance, that would be picked up right away. And I would actually put this aglaonema pink Simon, I mean, look at how beautiful that pink is, into a semi-hydroponic growing condition like leca, or more so pond. I have been actually putting a lot of my alocasias in leca and pond, and some other plants I am going to start converting. But as I pan away over here, plant foldies, you can see that this Lowe's, although it doesn't have any new trending tropical plants by Costa Farms, what they do have is a really nice organized and healthy looking selection of plants, minus that one aglaonema that has lost a little bit of like soil at the top. But you can see the pink stems of this aglaonema pink Siam. I actually posed the question, which aglaonema do you like? The aglaonema red Siam or the aglaonema pink Siam? Please leave that in the comments. I really hope you can take the time to actually engage and leave your opinions about that. Plant foldies, if you're listening to me in this video, definitely do that, just because I'm curious which one would you pick. And then what do you think about this alocasia poly? You know, that is a beautiful alocasia in my opinion, but it is probably one of the more highly susceptible spider mite alocasias, where spider mites just tend to attack it more so than the typical alocasia. But as I pan away and show you all of these aglaonemas, it is amazing that Costa Farms can produce aglaonemas like this. And what's interesting is, if you look at aglaonema pink Siam from a couple years back, a pot like this would cost more than $100, because these are aglaonema that you would have to import from overseas. So it's super cool that you know, Costa Farms has been able to source out a lot of plants, have been able to make it more mainstream, have been able to just make it accessible for all of us plant lovers. I need to get me an aglaonema red Siam. I do think it's classic, and you can see this is the red version, where you can see that it's got red stems. Now, the plant care tips for an aglaonema is you want to water it when the soil is literally completely dry. Aglaonema are more susceptible to dying if you overwater them. They can tolerate lower light conditions, but to get the beautiful pinks, the beautiful red coloration, and to get even more growth out of your aglaonema, give them bright indirect light, give them the optimal growing conditions, and they will really reward you with some beautiful coloration. Aglaonemas are you know, arguably probably one of the more underrated plants. Like you can even see here, this pink princess, philodendron pink princess, people would gravitate more so to a philodendron pink princess versus the beautiful aglaonema, although I would say that is low variegation for a philodendron pink princess. I do love this Epiprimnum alplissimum silver streak pothos. I was able to get an Aurea version actually out at PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, but the silver version, beautiful plant. This again is for $19.84 by Costa Farms Trending Tropicals. And then we also have a Scindapsus trubii Moonlight, but as you can see here, this Lowe's likes to organize their plants, keep them organized and full. And as I pan away, it is beautiful, and I'm just really thankful that a lot of my big box stores out in the North Dallas area have healthy looking plants. It's interesting that some of you guys have given me some comments about how your maybe your local big box stores may not be as healthy or full like the Dallas one. So if you want to go big box store plant shopping, come visit North Dallas or Dallas. We have so many big box stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, and Walmart. And obviously the highlight of all of the plant community would be all of the local plant shops we have in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I actually have a playlist, so if you're new to the channel and you want to binge some of my local plant nurseries, definitely check that out. And if you haven't seen the PlantCon videos, definitely check that out as well, so you can get an idea of like what a plant convention looks like. And I don't know, plant foldies, this one for $19.84. Like, I really want to buy this Xanthosoma, but I feel like I have added so many plants almost every single day. I'm out filming, I'm buying a plant, and I've really got to slow down. But I don't know, it just brings me so much joy just to be able to get plants. Like, I almost want to buy this Aglaonema Silver Bay. I am in the lookout for a large Aglaonema Silver Bay. You know, with Aglaonemas, very slow growing plants, but I mean, look at this. You can't tell me that this plant is not gorgeous. And that is the biggest mystery for me, is why more people are not talking about aglaonemas, why we're not all like fighting over aglaonemas. Everybody's all about like the variegated monsteras, the rare philodendrons. Can we talk about the aglaonemas? And can we even talk about that beautiful flame violet, for instance? I ended up getting one actually. You'll see the pink variety that I found at Callaway's Nursery. So again, plant foldies, look forward to some of the brand new plant shopping videos I have this weekend. If for some reason I'm not able to produce a new video because of the editing constraints, I hope you will still tune into some of my plant compilations. They are longer plant content, but that gives us a little bit more time to interact with each other on the live premiere chats. Or if you want bingeable content where you can play me and just listen to me talk about plants while you do your plant chores, I'm all about that. I do recommend playing one of the plant compilations, but whenever you go big box store plant shopping, I just find it so exciting to just show you all of the different plants. Like this one right here, Spathiphyllum or peace lily, right next to the dracaenas. And at this point, I would hope that our plant foldies who have been following my videos have learned a lot of the plant IDs. I was asked, how do I know all of these plant IDs? And it's literally through years of experience, looking and staring and admiring these plants, growing these plants. Every day that I go big box store plant shopping, if there's a new plant, I start learning new plant IDs. Now this is interesting too, this plant container of many different plants into one. This is that combination planter I was showing in a previous Lowe's video by Costa Farms. So this one has a golden pothos, a palm, and I think a waffle plant. So all of these plants kind of have different plant care conditions that they need to be in. So that's going to make it a little bit more of a challenge to be able to grow those long-term successfully. But you know, if some people like that, I think they really do that just for gifts. I would either separate the container, or you can try to grow them in a symbiotic relationship where they actually can thrive together. But that is beyond what I can give you as far as like plant care tips, because all three plants need different plant care conditions. And then I did want to show you some more of these urban jungle plants. You can see this one right here. I like the planter, and I also like that dark foliage right next to that philodendron moonlight. You know, the neon colored plants, they are definitely queen for me. Same thing with dark foliage plant, pink plants, silver plants, all of the above. Plants in general. As you can tell, plant foldies, I just love my plants, and I hope that you have been enjoying the plants that are featured in this video. If you haven't made it, if you've actually made it this far, thank you. But please make sure you are hitting that like button. I know that I mentioned it multiple times, but if you really want to see more plant content, if you want to see this community grow, please hit that like button today, and for all the other future and past videos, as well as subscribing to my YouTube channel. This is Richie at Grow Folds. I will see you tomorrow with a new video. Bye.